Hey yo, check 1 2. This is Flavor Flav in the building. Welcome back to my show, the Flavor Flav Show. Original podcast, baby. Hey yo, check this out. My next guest that I'm about to bring up in my set, who I am so excited to have inside my spot today. You know what I'm saying? He is a long-time friend. You know what I'm saying? Not only that, but we share nothing but history together. You know what I'm saying? And let me tell you something. This man that I'm about to bring up in here right now has moved all the groups in the music industry around. You know what I'm saying? He's managed a lot of the music groups that's around right now today. You know what I'm saying? And not only that, but guess what? My boy is still on the grind. You know what I'm saying? And this is one person that everybody in the music industry knows. You know what I'm saying? For real. So, without further ado, to bring to my set, you know what I'm saying? Word. I got to give y'all my man, Ron Byrd. Yo, Byrd! What's up, Byrd?
Yo, good to see you, man.
How you doing? Everybody, Ron Byrd, baby. Yeah, that's right, G. Let me tell you something. The reason why I got my boy here is because we share a lot of history and also a lot of mystery. We're going to let y'all in on a lot of things today. You know what I'm saying? Word up. Yo, Byrd is the word.
Yo, that's right.
Bird is the word.
Flav is the word tonight. That's right.
Hey, yo, have a seat, Ron.
Yes,
Word
sir.
up, man. Thank you for coming to my spot. Yeah, that's right. Right here on the Flavor Flav Show, baby. Original podcast. You heard? Y'all know what the word? Ron Byrd.
My favorite book.
Boy.
I got this in my library.
Uh-oh.
Must read.
Oh, okay. Well, you get ready to get another one.
Oh, man, I love it.
Hey, yo, check 1 2. Welcome to the Flavor Flav Show with my boy, Ron Byrd.
Flavor Flav.
Yo, Ron Byrd, man.
What's up, Flav?
How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, brother. I can't complain,
it's been
man.
so long.
Yes.
So long since I seen you, brother.
Yeah, it's been a long time, brother.
Yes.
We traveled a lot and toured a lot and saw each other off and on.
That's
always.
right.
And it's always been love and respect. Always.
That's right, man. That's one thing that I could say about us. We got history together, bro.
Yes, sir. Yes,
you know
sir.
what I'm saying? And when we first met, what was it, back in like 88?
I would say 88, 89.
88, 89.
Yes.
What were you doing when I met you?
Well, I was in the business. I was what they call a production manager.
Right,
I worked my
right,
way
'cause
up
you were
to
doing
production
production.
manager. Yeah, I was a stage production manager
That's
for
right.
groups that traveled on the road, and you guys were coming out. I was working with on Def Jam acts.
Right.
I just left Rick James, and I came to
Wow.
do Run DMC and the Beastie Boys, and I started doing all the acts at Def Jam. Eric B. I did you guys, and I wound up, doing production work for a lot of the other New York acts.
Right.
And it just kept going tour after tour after tour, man.
Yes, and let me tell you something, man. We had great times out on the road together, Ron.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And let me tell you something, man. Ever since then, I mean, your come up has been crazy. It's been phenomenal because not only did you move us around, Public Enemy, Beastie Boys, Run DMC, Eric B. and Rakim, EPMD.
Yeah.
I mean, you've moved everyone in this music industry around. I'm talking about even to the R&B acts. You know what I'm saying? Like New Edition,
Bobby Brown, Keith Sweat.
Keith Sweat.
Man, I have to read my resume. I done forgot more people than I can remember that I work with.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been blessed, man. I had a good, been having a good run.
Yes.
It was nothing better than the hip hop because see, I started with R&B. And I was with Rick James and Tina Marie. And I can remember the first day.
Wow.
Check this out. I'm going to tell you a real true story. We was in sold-out show, 15,000 people, Richmond Coliseum.
Right.
Rick James.
Right.
And if I remember right, New Edition was on the show in the group Wiki Wiki Wiki. who's that? Nucleus.
Nucleus, right.
Right?
Wiki.
Right. And then Grandmaster Flash.
Wow.
And so we was all back in the dressing room. Now you gotta understand, concert touring in arenas with 15, 20,000 people, sold out every night, was the land of the Isleys, the Rick Jameses, the Commodores, Stevie Wonder, mega stars, right?
Right.
And they all had bands. Everybody had, Earth, Wind & Fire had, the buku bands. Rick had the big bands. These all had drummers and double drummers, P-Funk and 2 drummers and 10 people on stage and musicians. But everything was musician. Keyboards, bass, drums, guitars.
Right.
So I remember this night in Richmond Coliseum, everybody was like, yo, we was on the back. They was like, you got to come see this shit. You got to come see this shit.
Right,
I'm like, what are y'all talking about? And they was like, man, these got record players on stage scratching them and shit.
Yeah,
and they was like, so it was amazing, the musicians. They was like, what the f is going on? So I remember we all went and stood on the side of the stage on the floor and we was looking up at that shit, right? And I remember people was like, they looked at that shit and was like, oh man, that's crazy. That'll never last, right? And then some other people, when they looked at it, was like, oh man, who even put them on the show and all that? But I remember I was standing on the side of the stage. I wasn't looking at the stage. I was looking at the audience.
Right.
And the audience was rocking.
Right.
Grandmaster, I remember they was rocking.
Right.
And I was like, damn, there's something here. And from that day, I knew, I was like, I got to with this hip hop. I got to be a part of this.
Yeah.
And after I left that, I went to do hip hop after I left Rick and never turned around. That's what I've been doing, since, bro.
Wow.
I did New Edition and Bobby Brown and, some runs with Keith Sweat and stuff like that, but mainly I just stuck with hip hop.
And you know what, Ron? Let me tell you something. I remember when hip hop first came around too, when it first came about, and people didn't think it would last. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Just like back in the days when we first started DJing, Ron, there was no such thing called a mixer.
Right.
What we would do, we would have a turntable, a record player, and the radio. And when the radio was playing something, you know what I'm saying, jamming, we would let the radio play. Then as the record would go off on the radio, then we would start turning up the turntable. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And that was our mixer.
That was the first fader.
Yes, that was the first fader right there. You know what I'm saying? Turning the radio down and turning the record player up. You know what I'm saying? And I'll never forget this, like way back in like 1973 and 74. That's when DJing first really started coming out and everything. Cause I was one of the first ones, man. I don't care if nobody. I used to do, you know what I'm saying? I used to, do parties, man, where we have the radio and the record player. And you know what I'm saying?
You fading them in and out. That's ill. That's
man.
ill.
You know what I'm saying? And I mean,
well, the DJs, what I learned from the hip hop thing is, I mean, everybody plays their role, but I was all the DJs. I was always close with, like on Hurricane, on Jay. Or Terminator X, you guys, because technically, here's why I was really close to all the DJs is because they're the ones that showed up to sound check all the time. Right. Even if the acts didn't show up, the DJs was always there.
The DJs were always
I still talk to Eric B today. I still talk to Hurricane today. I mean, all these D Nice who did the quarantine. I still talk to D Nice. Remember he was the DJ for Boogie Down Productions.
Fantastic job.
I still talk to Mathematics. With Wu-Tang. All the DJs that I work with because they were always there, making sure the music was right every day on that stage. Even if the artist wasn't there to do the sound check, the DJs was always there making sure everything was right. So And then they're the ones that I remember Manny Fresh and WAP with Cash Money. I'm just trying to think of all the DJs wound up. Some people always want to say who's more important, the DJ or the rapper, but they both are, but the DJ was always the one there getting that music and getting that sound right. The rapper showed up, got on the mic, did their thing, but the DJ was there at 3 o'clock with us, with the crew, making sure that everything was right.
Making sure everything was right.
That's right.
And then when rapping started coming around, you know what I'm saying? And I remember the first rap record that I can remember was King Tim III by the Fatback Band. That was the first rap record.
Yeah, you're right.
You know what I'm saying?
You went back on that one, bro.
Yeah. That was the first rap record, you know? I mean, back in the days, you know, they used to use that terminology. Hey, yo, brother, come here. Let me rap with you. let me talk with you.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So really, the first rap record that was ever out was James Brown's Public Enemy #1. That was the first rap record, because, you know, that's what we call rapping. Yo, come here, my brother.
Yeah.
Come over here. Let me rap to you.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, rapping was the terminology for, hey, let me talk to you. You know what I'm saying? So then when the rhyming started coming around into play and everything, you know what I'm saying? The rhyming started coming around into play. A lot of people thought that it wouldn't last.
Right, they did.
And they said people thought that rapping would come in and then it would go out quick. Next thing you know, here come TV commercials. And they got rhymes in their commercials.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And not only that, but then also, like you said, you know, there were records like, you know, I mean, groups like Grandmaster Flash, Furious 5, when they came out with The Message, White Lines. Back in the days when Sugar Hill Gang, you know what I'm saying, and the whole nine. I mean, after Sugar Hill Gang, man, came groups like the Cold Crush Brothers and stuff. You know, the hardcore rap groups and stuff. You know what I'm saying? And
I remember that's what I was doing.
Rock,
who was that on?
Fat Boys.
Oh, all my favorites. But really, my first taste on that was when I was working with KRS-One and Boogie Down Productions and them. Like, you know.
Wow. And you know what? Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
That was my first rap concert that I ever went to.
What?
Was with KRS-One, and I remember
was Miss Melody?
My partner Hank Shockley and Chuck D took me along with them to see KRS-One, and he was playing somewhere. Somewhere, I think it was in the Bronx or somewhere, but they took me to this show, and that's when, you know what record was hot? Milk is chillin'. What more can I say? Top billing. That's what you get when you got it good. And if you understood, would you clap your hands? Your hands are clap. If your girl is something, this your girl I slap. Some shit, right? Yo, and that's what was hot back in those days. You know what I'm saying? And that was right before we came out with our first record.
Just Sound, that's right.
Yeah.
When you guys came out with Just Sound,
Public Enemy #1.
y'all killed the game. Bro, I remember when you guys used to, I remember we was in Europe, somewhere, London or whatever.
Yes.
Oh my, I can feel the chills right now, like going through my spine, bro.
Yeah, let me move.
When you guys came out on that stage, and the S1Ws came out, and they was doing their steps, and you came out, all turning it out, and Chuck came, man, you guys, like, the audience, I just watched, you know, thousands. I remember it was about maybe, we did, I think it was like the Brixton Academy, it was like 5,000, 4,500 people.
Right.
Rocked the house down.
Right.
It was like, to be standing there on the side of the stage, it was like, it was historic. I still, to this day, you know, I still can hear Chuck's voice. I still can hear you out there, boy, you know what I'm saying? And you know, doing your wild stuff. And I always remember this. I remember hip hop, they were always coming out doing things, but I remember when Lior would talk to me, he used to say, I want hip hop to have production. I want hip hop to build a show. And that's kind of like where I came in, because I came from the world where we had a show.
Cohen.
Yeah, Lior Cohen. Lior Cohen used to tell me, because see, remember, rappers used to just come out, get on the mic, and that was it.
Right.
Because there's still an argument where some people say, we don't need all that, we just need the mic.
Yes.
Well, okay, I get that for rapping, but for showmanship, to sell tickets in an arena, you need a production, you need a light, sound, you need it, you know, not to hide the show, but to complement it. And that's where I came from. I came from the world of production.
Right.
R&B groups had production. They had floating stages and elevator lifts and, you know, all the kind of gimmicks and gags. So Lior used to tell me, I want to bring that to hip hop.
Right.
And that was his mission from day one when he used to bring me around, is that whatever it is, we're going to build a hip hop show with production.
Right.
And that's, you know, so I remember the first hip hop show I did with production was Run DMC, Together Forever, where the Beastie Boys, we had like the cages on stage,
Right.
And the girls would get in the cages and dance in the cages. We used to get from the audience. And then they had a giant box.
Yeah.
The dick, they used to pop out the box like the jack in the box, the jack in the dick. And then the dick that popped out the box.
Yeah.
You know, all that was production elements that, you know, was encouraged by, you know, not, you know, Leroy said we got to put on a show. We got to have timing. We got to, you know, have special effects. You know, so then we started adding smoke and all the other different things, pyro, and you know, now everybody, there's no show that goes out now without, you know, some type of level of production.
Hey, and let me tell you something, man, because speaking on Leor Cohen, let me tell you, man, I remember when Leor Cohen first came to Def Jam.
Oh, yeah.
And one of his first jobs was looking after Flavor Flav, making sure Flavor Flav made it to all of his gigs. Oh, man, I ain't gonna lie, G, but I ran poor Leor. I ran poor Leor down a little bit, man, because it was hard for him to keep up with me and everything.
I can imagine.
And he was like, "Where's Flavor? Where's Flavor? You make sure Flavor is here. Where's Flavor?"
You sound just like you.
Yeah, man, word up, man. I had a good run, man. You know,
but he always had a good vision for it. Like in the conversation I had behind the scenes when starting tours up and getting acts out when they were coming out. I'm talking about all the way DMX and even Hard Knock Life with Jay-Z and him. He was always behind the scenes telling me, I want a production element. Because sometimes the artists and the management didn't really even know where to go with it. But his thing was always, I want a light show. I want booming sound systems.
Right.
And we want some elements of production on stage.
Right,
and that's, from there on, that was my mission, was to bring, an element of production to hip hop. I felt that was my personal mission.
And you've been in the game now for how many years, Ron Byrd?
I think so. I didn't count, but somebody told me the other day, 35 years plus.
Wow.
I started with Tina Marie on the Prince Dirty Mind tour.
Wow. How was it working with Tina Marie?
She's a goddess. She's a goddess. That's right. She was a goddess. I would do anything for her. I was like,
I miss her.
I was
too,
her muscle.
I
miss her so much. I met her in the studio. I was working security for Motown.
Wow.
And I used to work at Hitsville. And the Commodores was in there, Jermaine, Rick would come through. But Tina was in all the time. And she used to invite me back to her sessions.
Wow.
Now, I really wasn't supposed to be, I was supposed to be security. I worked at Hitsville.
Right.
Worked at the sessions and all that.
Right.
But she used to say, come hang out. So I would hang out. And finally she was like, you want to go on road with me? And help out, look out for me, and make sure, stuff is straight and all that. And I was like, what is that? I didn't know what she meant going on the road,
Yeah.
And she was like, well, come on out, we'll figure it out. So I remember Alan McGreer, one of her, the writers that was with her and the bass player, he's like, come on, Ronnie, you're going to set up my bass equipment and you're going to tune my bass for me and I'm going to teach you how to do this and that. So I became what they call a roadie. But I also did security because I watched her back and made sure she was safe. I set up the gear on stage. Then I started doing the logistics, hotel stuff that I wasn't supposed to help, but I just was helping out doing stuff, making sure the bands got in and out the hotel, checking them in, making sure they had the keys, doing, the rooming list, doing all the stuff that wound up being a road manager.
Right. Is that the beginning of you learning all of the great things that you do today?
One thing for sure, a lot of people come in this game and a friend brought them in, and they say, well, I'm this or I'm that. But there's a few of us that came up from the bottom. We learned every job. I loaded trucks. I, set up dressing rooms.
Wow.
I became a stage manager, so that means I had to run the local crews, making sure they was allocated to the different departments, watching the time, making sure we wasn't going overtime, managing the show. And then I went from there to becoming a production manager. Right. And really, that was a blessing because of Rick James. He believed in hiring black people, which a lot of people used to believe in. They were going to make sure that they had black people working for them, on their tours. And so Rick had a guy named Victor Reed, who was his production manager. But Victor was leaving the business and going to do something else. And so he told me, he said, I'm going to groom you for this position. I was a stage manager, and he groomed me, taught me how to write writers, the format for writers, it's a science to that. And so he taught me how to write the writers for groups. I still write writers now. Some groups hire me, managers hire me, I don't go out with them, but I just write their writers.
Right.
But, I learned all of that working with Rick James and Tina Marie. They was like my foundation.
What was it like working with Rick, man? Because, he's one of my mentors, bro. You know what I'm saying?
It was just like Dave Chappelle and Charlie Murphy said all them things that Charlie Murphy said. Facts. That was all those really happened.
Too.
Yeah. I miss Charlie too. He was a good brother.
Yes,
knew him
sir.
well.
Yes, sir.
I remember I was in the airport with T.I. We was in the Philadelphia airport.
Right.
And I was checking T.I. and his family, and we were coming from a show somewhere, and they was all over talking about, man, that look like Charlie Murphy over there. That look like Charlie Murphy over there. And we was at the camera. And I was like, where? And they was looked over there. I didn't tell them I knew him or nothing. I was like, where? Where's Charlie? And they was like, over there. Is that Charlie Murphy? And I was like, yeah. So I was like, come on. They was like, what? I was like, just come on. And I took him over there, and when he saw me, he was like, Byrd, gave me a hug and all that. And they was like, dang, because to them, they really liked, they knew that. So I introduced Tip and him to Charlie Murphy that day and his family. But I told him all that stuff on Dave Chappelle really happened. Rick really rubbed his feet on the couch. Rick really punched him in the head. Some of the stuff that Charlie talking about, though, Charlie was always, how can I say, Rick did call him darkness, and Charlie was kind of like the street. He had street edge on him, right? He wasn't taking no shit from nobody.
But Rick James punched Charlie Murphy in the head?
Yeah, with the green, when he put the emblem, we said on his head, because we all had this.
Was it an accident or was it
No, he did it on purpose. Because Rick was always fucking with him.
Well,
he was just,
okay. I was going to ask.
But Charlie didn't play like that. No, Charlie didn't play like that because Charlie was like a few times, but Rick kept security running, so Charlie wasn't really going to go off on Rick. So it was always kind of like in fun and play, but Charlie wasn't really always with that fun and play like that. Like,
right.
But Rick was always, it was lighthearted. Rick just, but working for Rick was like, it was like I could never tell him no. In other words, whatever he wanted to have done, my job was to make it happen. If he wouldn't give me, I used to tell him, if you told me you wanted an aircraft carrier and F-15s landing in your front yard in the morning, if you give me the budget, I'll have it there. And that was and so Rick would test me with all kind of stuff. He'd wake up and be like, he called me in the room one night because I worked personally for Rick. I lived in Buffalo. He moved me to Buffalo. I wasn't only his production manager, but I worked with him year round.
Right.
Moved him and his family even on vacation, whatever he was doing. That's why even today I move artists a certain way because of my knowledge of moving, upper level clientele, chartering everywhere, renting yachts, going to Hawaii, taking your whole staff to Hawaii. That's the stuff Rick James did. At the end of the tour, everybody went to Hawaii. On vacation, but we set that up.
And these are the things that he left you in charge of making.
And so I try to pass that down to the other acts, as we move. And so, because it was like ways to do that, it was appreciation. But Rick, he was always like to me, he was like a god. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just gonna lie, because I would stand there and I could see 100,000 people, him move 100,000 people left, right, up, down every day, and when I moved into hip hop and I started seeing you rappers doing the same thing, I was like, I'm amongst gods, bro. You guys was really the gods, and that's where I stand today. So Rick was my introduction to touring. I traveled with him. We did many shows. I'm talking about the police tried to arrest him many nights. We had to sneak him out the buildings. Because he was always going to smoke weed on stage. I love Rick because he was the bad boy. Before we used to get weed shipped to us from Oregon. He had this guy named Mountain Man. And he used to send big nuggets of buds and stuff. This before Chronic and all that. I'm talking about Rick was the original
before the Chronic
Urban.
And all that, huh?
And we went to Jamaica. And Rick smoked out with Peter Tosh, who some people know Peter Tosh was part of the Bob Marley, and it wasn't Bob Marley and the Wailers, it was the Wailers originally.
Right.
And it was Bunny Wailer, Peter Tosh, and Bob Marley. And Peter Tosh was like, we went to go visit him, and Rick smoked out with him, and he couldn't, Peter Tosh smoked him. Rick hung with him, but Peter Tosh is the king of the smoking. But we, like I say, Rick, he taught us, man, that anything is possible. Yeah. And he used to smoke weed every night on the stage, and we would go, and the police would be down there on the side of the stage talking about, we're going to get you. And so what we used to do is we used to take the stairs off from the stage because the police ain't going to climb up and all that, so they was going to wait for him to come off. And what Rick would do is at the end of the show, a matter of fact, it's on one of those cartoons or something on the internet that they talk about that really happened. One of his valets is doing in California. We dressed him up like we was Rick. We put a Rasta hat on Rick. We took him off the front of the stage. We had the lights off, and we walked in. We had a car waiting at the front door. We walked him through the audience. The audience didn't even know it was him. Security kind of just walked him right through the audience, out the front door of the arena, with the audience still cheering with the valet with his back with the robe on like it was Rick.
Like it was Rick.
But Rick was already gone. So when the lights came on and the police swarmed the front side of the stage, they thinking Rick's coming off, and Rick's gone.
Rick's already gone.
Right, he's already gone. So they got the valet, and they roughed him up one night, and beat him up. And, they shut down in Dallas. They shut down load out. They wouldn't let us load the trucks or nothing. They was mad because we got Rick out of the building. But we was always, doing tactical tricks to make sure that he was safe and that he could do his show, bro. He used to have giant joints. You know what Rick's production was? He had a giant moon.
Yeah.
They had a Coke spoon. They used to snort Coke. Because that was back then, and, that was like some Hollywood shit.
Right.
For them to snort.
Right.
He had 12-foot joints that used to come out, and they were light and smoke on stage. This is where all the new cats got all that stuff. So when you see Dr. Dre with the talking skull and all that,
right,
that came from Parliament Funkadelic. The giant smoking joint with the talking I did for Bone Thugs and Harmony. That came from Rick James and Parliament Funkadelic. But the new generation hadn't seen that, but all that had been done before, we for production-wise. So Rick, we took elements of Rick and elements of Parliament Funkadelic, and we revamped it, and we brought it to the new hip-hop artist that was coming out. Right. So when Bone came out, they had the giant talking skull. Yo, what's happening? Fire me up. Smoke, start coughing. Oh, there's some good shit, and the thing, and then they would start their show, all that. That really, Bone did that before Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre on Up in Smoke had the skull, but Bone had already done it, and the Funkadelics had already done it. But he was so, into Funkadelics, it didn't matter. It was still a cool ass, they had a skull in the air talking at the intro of the show, and I always thought that was dope.
Damn, Byrd, you done it all, man. I mean, not only have you moved groups around, but you've also introduced certain things to the music industry that right now people are still using today. Because people are still using these gimmicks today, Oh
yeah, well, I remember when I was working for Cash Money. I remember it was Birdman and his brother Slim, two great brothers. Really, they really were. Right. I remember Birdman used to tell me, he's like, man, I'm gonna be big as Berry Gordy one day. I'll be in the studio with him talking. He'd be like, he used to tell me that. He'd say, I'm gonna be big as Berry Gordy. He did exactly what he said he was going to do, and he's bigger than Berry Gordy. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
When you think about it, all of what he did, and still have Drake and Nicki Minaj and, the Lil Waynes. And so he did his mission. But he used to be like, man, we want to land in a helicopter. See, I'm the type of guy that you tell me what you want to do, and I'm going to tell you how to do it. Don't play with me now. So he was like, man, we want to land in a helicopter on stage every night.
Yeah.
I'm like, no problem, bro.
Yeah.
I got John Troxtel out here who does stage design.
Yes.
We went and we bought an ex-military helicopter. We gutted it out, took all the hydraulic, everything, so it was just the airframe. We had it rigged for Hollywood style. We had fake propellers put on there.
Sold y'all a helicopter?
Yeah, man, we bought it from, matter of fact, we bought it from the U.S. Marshal Service.
How much do they cost?
It was
around that time.
Man, I think they paid like $20,000 for the helicopter because it was mothball scrap. It was for scrap.
Right.
But we bought it and we refurbished it, and that was the helicopter that Cash Money landed every night on the Cash Money tour. The Hot Boys, Lil Wayne, BG, Turk, and Juvenile, where we would sneak them out to the audience. Like while the people were out watching the stage, waiting for the show to come on, we had them in hampers. We would sneak them out in the audience, put them under this platform that was covered with a big drape. Nobody knew it was under there. We'd put them in the helicopter, and then the lights go out. We'd start the show on the stage. Manny Fresh would come down, floating down out of the sky on his, we had a floating DJ riser.
Right. Like the kind Jam Master Jay
had. Yeah. I was the one that came up with that. So
wow.
And so we had the helicopter. If the thing would come off, the helicopter would lift up in the front of the house.
Right.
And we had the sound effects, the wind blowing. And it's a company, the same people that used to fly Red Man and Method Man every night on How High. It was called Joe Branham Rigging. Right. And they used to, so the jet, they landed Akon in a parachute on stage with it was Rihanna, Wycliffe, and Akon tour. Akon used to land every night in a parachute. It was the same thing. It was a fly rig. So it's a track that goes, it could go around the arena or it could go straight. But the more money, the more track you get. So at that time, Cash Money didn't want to spend a lot of money. But one thing for sure, Baby never had a problem spending money on production, whatever, to build a stage, whatever. So when the helicopter would take off, it would take off with them in it. It would fly over the audience, turn around, land on the stage, and then the pyro would go off, all the explosions, and then they go up, and that's how they started their show.
Damn.
So that's again, production. That's, I try to bring production. Now when I see stuff flying in the air, I always remember that we was the first ones to, I remember on the Hard Knock Life, we used to fly Red Man and Method Man. They used, on How High, it was the same thing. They put a rig on, a harness underneath their jumpsuit, and they would fly over the audience.
Right.
Dip down and dip up and all that, and it was a fly rig. So that's the kind of elements and stuff that I was happy that I brought to hip hop, because the rock world was using that stuff. They had Kiss and Guns N' Roses and Van Halen's and all them.
Right, Ozzy Osbourne.
Right, Ozzy and Black Sabbath and all them. I remember they used to have a train. They used to bust through the wall and all kind of crazy shit. I was like, man, when is hip hop could do that shit? The hardest part is talking rappers and their managers into spending the money to do that. But once they get it and they can see the value of it and putting on a show, then it's a no-brainer. They do it.
Hey, yo, Ron Byrd, baby. Byrd is the word. I just want y'all to know that, man. It's my longtime homie. You know what I'm saying? He's been in the game for over 35 years. You know what I'm saying? And he's been moving groups, man, all his career, G. And I ain't gonna lie, but hey, he's moved some of the best. Even like myself.
That's right.
Well, hey, yo, Byrd, I just have to let everybody know who you are right now, man, right here on my podcast, man. I got to keep everybody up to date.
That's right.
Mainly for the ones who just tuned in now and didn't see the beginning.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Me introducing you.
That's right.
I just want everybody to know I got my boy Ron Byrd, man, on my podcast right now.
I'm glad to be here,
big,
bro.
man. You know? So Byrd, let me ask you, man, who is your most funnest group? Cause listen. I know you got a bunch of them, and I know you got a lot of them.
They say funnest.
Who was your funnest group, man? The funnest group that you ever moved around, man.
Wow, that's a hard one too. Cause I'm gonna tell you,
if you was to single out a group, do you think you'll be hurting a lot of other groups' feelings because of all of the love that they have for you, Ron Byrd?
No, well, not that, but I think in reality, each group had their own cachet. You understand what I'm saying? So everybody, I loved moving everybody. There's not, I really can't think of any horrible experience that I had with any group at all. You know what I mean? So when I would say favorite, I can remember I really liked moving Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Wow.
When they was they was young brothers. They're from Cleveland. They didn't know much about the road, but they was when they came out, they was kicking ass.
They from Cleveland.
Yeah, they was from Cleveland, but they was in LA then. And when I came in, Ruthless brought me in to do some tour, production with them.
Okay.
And we were doing a tour. I think it was some tour like where they was it was Mary J. Blige, MC Ren, Aaliyah. A bunch of people was on this tour.
And just to let everybody know, Ruthless, Eazy-E.
That's right.
Ruthless.
Matter of fact, my tour jacket, I still got my Bone Thugs and Harmony Ruthless tour jacket right now. It's with Eric Wright on there. Rest in peace, Eric Wright. It was the blue suede, the black leather arms. See, that's what some artists still do tour jackets, but a lot of them don't do it no more. The only tour jacket I got recently was from 2 Chainz. 2 Chainz did I was working with 2 Chainz. They did a nice tour jacket.
Right.
Leather sleeves, gold, big true on the back, the boat for him, because it was based on a true story, and he had the boats on there. And, so he gave all his team tour jackets, but a lot of people, they kind of like don't do that no more. But the game, we had good. We call it swag. Everybody had good tour swag. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but I say Bone because it was just they was good kids, but they was on the wild.
What you gonna do?
Oh, they was killing it every night. Matter of fact, they was kicking ass so hard that when Bone left the stage, the audience was leaving, and they still had other shows on. I worked for Mary J too, but Mary was closing. She was the headliner, and it was the kids was coming to see Bone. So when Bone would finish, the promoters would have to come out on stage and be like, "Hold on, we got so-and-so coming up next. We got Mary J. Blige coming up next. We got, but the people were leaving because they came to see
Because
Bone.
they came to see
so
Bone.
they came to us. They came to Bone, and they was like, "Look, we need to change the lineup. We want you guys to close the show."
Right.
You know, but I remember, let's see, Lobel was there, Steve Lobel right there, and they worked out a deal because obviously if you're gonna close the show, you got to get the headliner money too.
Right.
So whatever they worked out, all I know, they told me production, we swapping, you know, when we're closing for the rest of the tour. And then all the other acts came on, Bone closed it out, and
Right.
Bone always had full production. They had
Right.
signs hanging in the air. They had the giant organ. They had eyeballs that inflated. They had talking skulls that smoked weed, and but that was like, and they approved everything. We had artwork. We went through stuff, and they saw stuff. They said some stuff they didn't like, some stuff that they did like. Because every tour that we did started with them, sitting down, like sitting with you, saying, well, what do you see yourselves doing on stage? What do you represent? What do you want to represent to the people? How do you want to get that out there? And everybody be like, man, well, we just want to rap and all that. But, well, is it a dark album? Is it a happy album? Is it, we want to represent whatever it is on stage for you guys. And ultimately, we come up with drawings and renderings, and then they say, I like that, I don't like that. Can that do this? Can this move up and down? Can this go? And once we got all that together, then I put a budget together. I did all the budgets and tell them this is what it's going to take, this is what it's going to cost, and this is how it's going to, we're going to get it across country in 10 trucks, 5 trucks. It's going to take, 20 hands, of staff. We're going to, and once everything got signed off by management and everything, we, executed every night. And that's, it was like a military. The one thing about touring for us, it was like a military operation. That's the way we look at it. It's like an op, man. We're gonna come in. We're gonna take over a city. We're gonna take over that arena. We're gonna set it up, and then the artist is gonna land. They're gonna come in. Everything's ready for them. They're gonna hit that stage. 50,000 people going to come in. 30,000, 20,000 people going to come in that arena in the next couple of hours, and they're gonna scream, cry, faint. And then the artists go back to the jet, back to the hotel. We, for the next 6 hours, is in that arena, tearing that shit down, getting on a bus, going to the next city to do it all over again. That was our life.
Hey, yo, let me ask you this, right? I want to take it back for a little second.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a little touchy situation because, when death occurs, mainly of people that I've grown to love, what I'm saying? I mean, it really hits home. I want to ask you about 2 people. Okay, now, number one, as much as you've worked with Rick James and you've and all of the adventures that you had with Rick James, what was that like for you when Rick James passed away, and did it change anything for you?
Yeah, when I got the word, I cried. I ain't gonna lie, man, I cried. I didn't cry, I'm not no crier, man, you know what I mean? Warriors don't cry, you know what I'm saying? I really believe that. But when Rick passed, I really cried because he was such a force in my life because he gave us opportunity. Other people didn't give you Rick gave you opportunity. He gave you the rope. If you could do something with it, you can hang yourself with it. But he gave you the opportunity. He gave you the credit card. He gave you the money. He gave you the budgets. He was like, make it happen. And so he really stood behind people, and he empowered black people in the entertainment business, lighting people, sound people. So when he had issues in his life, everybody knows the drug issues and all that, and he always fought that. I remember I was part of the time we put him in rehab a couple of times, and he escaped. He was in there one time with the Aerosmith dudes in Boston and stuff. And at the same time, they were. I remember he called us one night, had a van at the back gate at midnight and had the ninjas. We had these 2 security that was like ex-special forces guys in martial arts. One of them was my martial arts mentor, Squeaky. But they was like, we're gonna rescue Rick tonight, and he's leaving the rehab. And he just, he did everything he could to get himself together. But, in the end, Rick, like, it hurt my heart, man. I cried. I went to the funeral. You know what I mean? And, you know, I still talk to his family members to this day. Like his daughter, Ty, just, you know, she just moved to Atlanta, and I got a chance to visit her with her. You know, I knew his son. You know, he used to come visit me in Atlanta, you know, and I still talk to his family members, you know, different family members. You know, I was close to all of Rick's family, brothers, sisters, his mom, you know, because I was like, you know, I was everywhere Rick went, I went. You know what I mean? When they needed to get in touch with him, I was the person who handed him the phone. I worked with him. Really, if you look at some of the Rick James albums, on the back of the albums, it says album coordinator, Ron Byrd. So for Cold Blooded and for the Throwdown, I was the album coordinator. So that meant I booked all the studio time. I kept the budgets. I did, you know, that's how I got into more than touring. Because Rick, again, empowered us. He was like, yo, you want to go back out on the road with another group or you want to stay with me? I was like, I guess I'll stay. You know, because we were roadies. All we knew was the road. So it was like, when this tour's over with.
I like the way you just said that, like, well, I guess I'm good.
Because, you know, that's out our comfort zone.
You, Rick. I mean, who's
not? Right. And he made, you know, he made it worth our while, you know. But I remember the Jacksons. I was getting ready to do the Jackson tour. And I didn't tell him, but I was going to go to do the last tour that the Jacksons was going to do. I was going to go out there as one of the road managers, right, for the actual the group. He found out that, and he didn't tell me. He called me because he used to call me and say, "Yo, I'm going on vacation. Get the jet on the runway, book the the resort and everything. I'm going to Saint Martin." And so I was like, "Okay." So I got the jet together. Got everything together. Now, I'm supposed to fly to Florida for some rehearsals or something, and I didn't tell him that, I was getting ready to leave. I was just going to, let him know when he come back that I'm going to take this Jackson job. I didn't have the heart to tell him that I was leaving him, right? He had found out. So when they was loading on the plane and everything, he said, get on the plane. And I'm supposed to be going somewhere else with the Jacksons the next day.
Right.
And he said, get on the plane. And I was like, I can't get on the plane, Rick. I got something else I got to do. Everything's set. The hotels are set, ground transport, everything's set. He said, get on the plane. He was like, I'm not playing. You getting on this plane. I was like, man, I can't get on the plane. He's like, you getting on this plane. I got kidnapped, and I got on the plane and wound up in St. Martin, and I missed the Jackson tour.
Wow.
And that was done on purpose. But again, I never looked back.
And you were supposed to have been on that Jackson's tour, huh?
Right, yeah. But I wound up
not the Jackson 5, but the Jacksons.
No, the Jacksons, when they came together, it was the one was it the Victory Tour or one of the whichever one that I have to look at my resume at the time,
Right.
But yeah, I was supposed to be on that tour, bro. I got hired.
Wow.
But I was going to tell Rick, but I just didn't have the heart to tell him. Like I said, I lived in Buffalo. I lived at the ranch. I had horses. What I did is I took care of a lot of the stuff. Rick had staff, house staff, cooks. He had a ranch. He bought the house next to him. We had fields for snowmobiles. He had stables for horses. He gave me a horse. I had a horse named Punk. Punk Funk. Punk. P-U-N-K. My horse was Punk. But, Rick was a great guy, man. Whatever he did. One night he woke up and he said, when I wake up in the morning, I want a new Mercedes-Benz in the driveway. And I'm like, well, what you want? What kind? He said, motherfucker, you know what I like? You know what colors I like? I'm like, well, what, 4-door, 2-door, convertible? Motherfucker, you know what I like? Just make sure the car's there in the morning. And this was about 3 in the morning. So I had to wake up the next day while he was asleep because we lived like a vampire life. We were in the studio all night, everything,
right.
And we didn't go to bed every day till maybe 9 or 10 a.m. You know what I mean? So anyway, but I still had to do work, so because I had to accomplish shit during the day while they slept, doing flights and bringing in musicians for the sessions and shit like that.
Right.
And so I ran down to the Benz dealership, walked in, saw the little, I think it was the 2-door, one of them, the 2-door drop top, the old school style with the, I can't remember but it was a blue one. But when he woke up, there was a Mercedes-Benz in the driveway. You know what I mean? And he was happy. He just
Yeah.
But then he was a gracious man too. He'd buy you shit. He bought me a Jeep one time. He took me shopping and be like, yo, that's yours. And drove home,
Wow, that's
we all
big.
had snowmobiles. We all
That's
had.
big,
But
man.
one thing about Rick, though, he empowered black people, bro. On the real side, on the business side, Rick allowed you, and he backed you up. You know what I mean? Like, if you told him there was an issue with something and you didn't want him to, you want him to hold up or stay in the dressing room or whatever, he would listen and he would do that, because, there was a bigger play. He had management and all that, but production, he listened to us too, you know what I mean?
Right.
And like I said, I lived in the ranch, I was there for all the wild parties, all of it was true, everything. He had an indoor pool. And we used to have parties, they would go to the club and bring the club back to the ranch. And it was just, working with Rick was amazing. And I really, like you say, what we were talking about, I cried when he died. I went to the funeral, and, to this day, I still, I'd still talk to the Stone City Band. I was just with him in Vegas the other day.
Did his death make you change some of the ways that you do things
I'd already
job?
I'd already changed some of my ways, because I used to be wild like them and all that. So I just realized that, I got married, I got kids, I got family coming. I had to get myself together.
Right.
But it really, what it changed, I would say, was how I shared and talked to the younger rappers and artists that I was working with. I always told them Rick James stories to show them the good side and the bad side.
And the bad side.
There was all of it good, but there was some dark side stuff too that I would share with them too. You know what I mean? And like that's I used to think to this day I talk to Bobby Brown. He's a good friend right now. I used to call Bobby Rick James Jr.
Yeah.
Because when they was little, Bobby used to sit on the stage and watch Rick James. When we did shows together, Rick used to be like, see, they don't understand. Rick used to say, don't nobody mess with the New Edition. They can do whatever they want. They can move around backstage wherever they want. Matter of fact, you look out for them and make sure they straight.
Right.
And that's where I'm marching on. So they would come sit on the stage and watch Rick perform.
Right.
Bobby was really watching Rick. And I think that all the persona, everything that came with Rick, Bobby wound up being that. And I love Bobby to this day. That's my brother. And I just, he reminds me of Rick James Jr.
Wow.
Yeah.
Check this out. I got one more to ask you about. You know what I'm saying? Which was my dear good friend too. You know what I'm saying? And back in the days, you know what I'm saying? When Run DMC and Public Enemy went on tour together over in Europe, right?
I remember.
And we had to share the bus, Public Enemy, we had to share the bus with Run DMC. And back in those days, remember that we had this thing called the pause button tape? We used to make pause button tapes and stuff.
Yep.
So there were times on the back of the bus, me and Jam Master Jay, we would always battle on who could make the best pause button tapes. Now, I ain't gonna lie, I used to kill Jay, but some that Jay gotta always be the winner. You know what I'm saying, in the whole nine. But I mean, I spent a lot of good days with Jam Master Jay, man. You know what I'm saying? And when he got killed, I was on Rikers Island doing time, right? And when he passed away, when he got killed, I mean the jail had to tame me, man, because I lost it. I went crazy. You know what I'm saying, in the whole nine. But the next morning, I was on the radio with the people from Hot 97. You know what I'm saying? That following morning, and that's because they knew how close I was to Jay.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that took a big chunk out of me. But when Jam Master Jay got killed, and I know you were close to Jay too. How did that affect you, bro?
Again, it was like when Rick died. I shed tears on that one. I couldn't understand. I was confused about that. Like, who would do this? Who would go in the studio and do this to this man who's important to us and to our culture? I don't care what he did. He was supposed to get a pass. You know what I'm saying? That's how I looked at it. So I couldn't understand it. So it affected me. I remember I heard about it on the news and everything, so immediately I called a couple people. I remember I called like Eric B. I called Hurricane, and everybody was just devastated. Everybody was devastated behind that, man.
Yeah,
and I couldn't say much. To this day, I still talk to E-Blam and them. He puts me on the phone with DMC. You know, I haven't talked to Ron in a while, but I might have talked to DMC just before COVID. You know, when they come to Atlanta,
Right.
some of them tap in, or you know, say, you know, we
Right.
get a chance to talk. But Jam Master Jay was special, man, and it was just really, it hurt me when that happened, man. You know, I really I cried on that one. I remember I cried on the night when I found out about Biggie. You know, because I just was in LA meeting with Puff and them about tour plans. I was meeting with Puff, the dude. You know, I was the tour manager for Puff on the No Way Out tour.
So you did move Biggie around?
Well,
no,
I didn't get to because I came to meet about the tour plans.
Okay.
I went back to Atlanta. I was in the bed asleep. My wife woke me up. She was like, you know, she was frantic, like, yo, look at the news. Look at the news. I'm like, what are you talking about? Because I just left LA. I just flew in like on a red eye, came back, whatever. And I looked, and then when I saw that, it blew me away. You know, again, you know, I was like, you know, a legend was gone. And we had been planning a tour. You know, Puff had been planning a big tour. It wound up being, you know, No Way Out wound up being a tribute to him. You know what I mean? And
right.
We, you know, but that, you know, those deaths in the music business, because I worked around those guys. I worked around Puff. I hadn't worked with Biggie yet, but we were setting up the tour for, you know, we was setting that tour up, man.
Right.
So I was really crushed about that too.
Did you ever move digital around too? Did you know Pac, Tupac?
No, I never did any shows. You know, here's the crazy thing. Me being from LA, me being a West Coast guy, which a lot of people still to this don't know. Like, I'm born and raised in South Central LA. You know, I come from a neighborhood, you know, like where like I'm right down the street from Top Dog in them. You know, I grew up on Imperial Highway, you know, between Vermont and Hoover. I'm a South Central LA kid, really.
Right.
But I didn't work too much with LA groups because I wound up working with all the rappers from the East Coast. Because remember, West Coast rappers weren't touring yet. The first West Coast rap group that I ever toured with was Ice-T, and that was because he was working with us. He was on all them tours with the Dope Jam and all that.
But don't forget, but you can't forget though, NWA moved around with us.
Right.
And they moved around with us before we moved around with Ice-T on our tour.
Right. Now,
because back in those days, I remember it was Public Enemy, Salt and Pepper, NWA, JJ Fad, and Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Because I remember back in them days, and I mean, me and Easy-E too, we used to hang out after our shows. And I remember,
well, that was the cool thing back then. Everybody hung out together backstage.
Yes,
everybody watched each other's shows
together backstage. And I remember having JJ Fad on the tour with us, and Baby D was trying to get me to hook her up with Eazy-E. That was her crush around that time, you know what I'm saying? I'll never forget it, man. And Baby D, that's my girl. JJ Fad, those was my girls, man, you know what I'm saying? Supersonic.
Yeah, right. Now, I remember, man, see, if I don't remember nothing else, I just remember those records because they performed them every night on stage and everything, you know what I mean? So that Supersonic record was big. I judge the groups like, when you came out and you did the record in front of the audience, and you shut it down, you know, that was just, to me, I used to just stand on the side of the stage and, you know, on the corners. That's what made me feel good, knowing that we was bringing hip hop to the masses, to the people, for them to see, you know, and just, you know, so like with the West Coast groups, I wound up working with Game and DJ Quick.
Right.
And, you know, I never did any of the Death Row groups, even though Suge was a good friend, but that was my time of when I was incarcerated. I missed that kind of run, you know what I mean? You know?
Yeah.
But when I got out, I worked the Game, I worked with DJ Quick, and, you know, I worked with Bone, you know, which
check this out. I mean, I wanted to go there too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, in the whole nine. You know what I'm saying? Because I remember back in the days, I came out to, I think it was Philly. Y'all had a show. Y'all had a show out there with New Edition on the bill and a whole bunch of other groups and everything. And this was around the last time I got to see you before you took a fall.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And around that time, I mean, you was moving, bro. You was moving. Then you ran into a problem to where you you know, you got arrested for murder and all of this shit, right?
Right.
And everything.
Yes.
You went to jail for murder, everything. And while you was away, bro, I mean, you know, I always was praying for you, man. And, you know
that
I even sent your family a little something, whatever I could do
you did,
while you were away. You know what I'm saying?
That was, and I want to let you know that was appreciated.
Yes,
just
definitely,
all the love
man,
that you shared.
You always was my guy, and I always loved you, Byrd.
Yeah,
I'm always love you, no matter what.
Man. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But what was that like, man? I mean, just going straight from tour to jail.
It was crazy, really, because 1 minute you touring on the buses. This was a lifestyle. This was our business. You know, like now, there was no gangster business, no fighting business. You know, yeah, you had issues and all that, but everything got worked out. Nobody ever got, you know, did you have some fist fights? Yeah. But it never came to a point where people were trying to hurt other people, you know, right? But, you know, on the tour, you know, I was a tour manager. I was the production manager for New Edition on the Any Heartbreak. I did all the New Editions tour. I was always out on
the time when all of that went down.
Yeah, I was with New Edition. And, you know, I know they had a beef on stage with another act, you know, on Teddy Riley and Guy with them. Had nothing to do with us. They always try and say the crew did, you know, had something to do with it, but the artists were fighting each other on stage.
Right.
So all crews is going to support the people that they're there with. We're trying to break it up. I never threw no blows at nobody. I'm like the middleman, and then they're trying to, cause I knew Teddy Riley and them. And I knew New Edition. Even though I was hired to work with New Edition, tell you quiet as kept, I had been meeting with Teddy Riley and them about doing production for their tour. Because this was the Budweiser Superfest.
Right, because Guy was on that tour.
Yeah. It was a Superfest tour.
That's right. That was a Superfest tour. Guy was on that tour.
And so they were going to come off of that tour on a headlining tour at some point, you know, whether it was right after or later on. But the talk was there. They had all the hit records. They had the stage cash. They had everything. And so I talked to him a couple of times about when New Edition finished, come in to jump, you know, because we're independent workers. We work with everybody.
Right.
With New Edition, and then we work with Bobby Brown, and then we work with the Isleys, and then we work with, you know, Barry White. Or, you know, we're tour people.
Right.
It's not like you only work with the group you grew up with and you came in the game with. That's
right.
More later on with hip hop, where they start bringing their homies with them and trying to get them in position, which I always respected that too. But back in the day, you hired the hottest guy, whoever's going to design your show. So I was talking to Teddy Riley about his tour. So, you know, when the issue happened, I'm not fighting none of them guys. They kids, and I'm trying to keep them separated and keep us working. This is business.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You're trying to keep the peace.
And so I kept the peace, even to production people and staff was like, yo, we don't know if we should go to the next show, man. That was kind of intense, people making threats and all that. I told everybody, man, don't worry about none of that. This is the music business. Nobody, whatever, the people up at the upper echelons, they're going to work it out. And we're going to have a sold-out show tomorrow. Because every show is sold out. You know, 15, 16,000, 17,000 people every night sold out. So.
And also at that time, you're a trained martial artist.
Yeah,
I know about your stats,
bro. I've been
been
training for a few years. I got a few black belts. And the thing that's good is that the martial arts that I train in Japanese karate. I don't believe in none of that jiu-jitsu stuff and all that stuff, you know, because our object is to stay on our feet. I'm not getting on the ground, on the floor to choke nobody out when you got hundreds of people fighting around you or stuff going on. I always was about staying on my feet. So, yeah, I was a martial artist. So, you know, I always could carry myself. I was, you know, a certain way. I was never too much worried about stuff because I don't even weapons. I didn't care about none of that, you know what I mean? Because I had proper instruction, instructors that had trained me. You know, to this day, I still, you know, train with the same instructors. So, you know, at the time, you know, I say they, you know, the beef kind of carried on to the next city, which we didn't expect. We figured whatever happened in North Carolina. It was over with, and we're going to go on and do the next show in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Right.
So we're in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
And this is New Edition having a beef with
Teddy Riley and Guy.
Okay, gotcha.
For whatever reason, I think somebody was going over too long on the show one night. See, they was co-headlining. One night, there was one body would headline, other night, other people would headline. Right. So, and they both was hot They both was hot as fish grease.
Right.
I was happy to be on the stage with both of them every night. It was a beautiful experience.
Right.
But whatever was going on, they, the beef was, maybe somebody was playing over and they wasn't happy about it. Or I know one night, one crew was setting up on stage while the other wasn't, and they wasn't happy. Whatever they wasn't happy about, it should have never led to blows, because that wasn't, like, all the people that I had worked with me, they worked with Ashford and Simpson. They worked for the Isleys. They worked for R&B. I was telling these guys, come work with this hip hop thing, this rap thing. Because I still had people thought I was crazy. There's people that was like, Ron Byrd, why you working over there with that bullshit? You should be over here with, Earth, Wind, and Fire, or, all these other groups that, the Gap Band, or the Midnight Star, all these other groups that was doing major stuff. They was like, there's plenty of other work. Why are you over there with the rappers? Right. But I kept saying, yo, this is where we need to be. I need some good sound people over here. I need some good lighting people over here. Come on over here with me. And then they would be like, well, I don't know, Ron. We heard some stories. Because remember at the beginning, when we started out with hip hop, it was fights, but it was nobody getting hurt. It was fights every night. I got a chance to fight every night, damn near, in rap shows. And I never heard nobody that, we do enough to stop whatever had to happen. Right. And that's it. But in the end, nothing should have to come to blows. But next thing I know, we're in the arena in Pittsburgh setting up the show for the next day. Right. And I hear a big commotion, like how we sitting in this room here. I hear a commotion outside the door. I open the door and I look out and I see people with baseball bats beating people up. Right. I'm like, hold on, what the fuck is going on? Like, this was my mind, like, hold on, what's going on? And motherfuckers was running around with bats, and motherfucker ran up to me, yeah, motherfucker, yeah, you know what it is, and start swinging at me with a bat. So I went into karate mode. The only reason I know what happened is because in my trial, this happened in front of witnesses. These people came in the building with union people and people that worked at the arena in Pittsburgh, and they came in there to physically beat people up with baseball bats. In the arena. And what I found out in my trial is that 12 people got on the airplane. Right. Flew from New York. They stopped at a sporting goods store, bought bats. This all came in the trial. They had the receipt. They had the bag. They stopped at the baseball at a sporting goods store.
Got the baseball bats.
Came to the hotel, checked in under assumed names. Right. Now, when they told me that, I said, we always check in under assumed names. We never put you under your real name or anybody. We use fake names for the artists, so nobody. But they had Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck. This all came out. All these names checked in fake. They came over to the arena and started beating people up. Right. And so when I got assaulted and and attacked with the bats, I'm a California kid. I don't know nothing about baseball bats, man. We grew up with gunplay. I mean, that's just what it was. You know what I mean?
Damn right.
I can remember to this day, one of my guys, his name was Michael Spider Clark. He was a rigger. Right. He was a black. You know how important, like, to have a black man that was a rigger. Right. And he did Rolling Stones. He did other tours. Right. I talked him into coming and doing hip hop. And the rigger is the person that hangs all the shit over your head. Right. When you look at a concert, you see them lights hanging up there, or you see the Travis Scott roller coaster hanging in the air. That shit is the rigger. A rigger has to know the weights and they choose the points and they hang stuff off the steel in the arena. They climb up in the steel with harnesses on and hang down. And this is the shit people don't know. When you come in, you see all this shit hanging, you just see it and go. But you didn't know earlier, people was up there hanging this stuff up in the ceiling and pulling this stuff up. And it was a big operation. And here's a black man that was a big rigger that I talked into coming to hip hop. And I looked at, and I seen him on the floor, his head looked like a pumpkin. Eyes was swollen out. He wound up, his orbits was cracked.
They beat him with bats.
Yeah, a dude was beating him with a bat when I saw him. And I'm like, so I'm fighting these guys. Right. With no weapon. Right. And the testimony said, like I broke some bats and stuff. Right. And, but I remember once I got my 9, I just start bucking, bro, letting off. And then everybody started running. Right. And I chased motherfuckers. So in reality, they told me that if I had shot the people there in the building, it wouldn't have been a problem. Right. But, I chased people down the street. And at that point, I was just trying to, handle my crew, save my crew, keep them safe. And, and I wound up, somebody wound up dying. And they charged me with murder and all that, but I wound up getting manslaughter. And I wound up doing 4.5 to 5.
4.5 to 5, and then you came back home.
And I came back home.
And when you came back home, you started getting back on your feet.
Yeah,
How did you get back on your feet after you came home after that?
Well, I think it was my
because this is the most amazing part of the journey that you're on right now.
Yeah, facts.
Coming out of that, and then leaving society for like 4.5 years, coming back to new shit, and trying to catch up back to the game again, getting back on your feet.
Yeah.
How did you do it, man? And
I'm going to tell you, it wasn't just me. It was, blessed people in my path, people that still loved and respect me, knew that what I did wasn't like, I didn't go out seeking no trouble. I didn't go out to hurt nobody. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
People knew that I still had the knowledge. They still needed people to do what I do.
Right.
And people was like, hey, Ron Byrd's back. Let's give him some work, And so slowly but surely, I started bus leasing. When I first got out, I didn't do no touring. I was doing buses. I did the buses for TLC tour because my friend, rest in peace, Woody Johnson, was in charge of the tour. So he came to me and he said, yo, I need the buses. So I got the buses for them. I got the buses for Babyface. I did buses for a few other tours, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They coming. And then, finally somebody was like, hey, we need some tour production, some tour production management. And I start working with a lot of the groups in Atlanta. I worked with the Goody Mob, and I started with I started doing stuff for LaFace, and then I started getting back at it and doing what I do, and I started doing most of the groups back in the South that were coming out. I would kind of start working on. I did Outkast, I did all the Dungeon Family stuff. I did Ludacris, I did 2 Chainz, I did most of the, I did a lot of groups. I did something with Young Jeezy, I had something to do with their production or putting their productions together, and a lot of people didn't know my background. Some did, but it didn't matter. Some people just knew I knew what I was doing. I knew what I was talking about. My budgets was correct. My numbers was on time. I came out, and I tried not to miss a step. I missed 4 years of my life. I had family, my wife, she moved to Pennsylvania because I'm from California.
To be closer to you.
Right. So because really I said, I don't want to see y'all for the next 5 years.
Right.
Whatever you do, I respect you, I love you. Do you for 5 years. I try whatever happens after the end of the 5 years, if we could get back together. And she was like, are you crazy? She said, you got 2 sons. She said, because I didn't even want my sons to come visit me. Some people, man, I don't want my sons to come visit me in prison. She was like, no, they're coming to see you every weekend. They're going to know who you are. You're not going to, And so my wife moved to Pennsylvania, opened up a business.
That's dope.
At State College, and brought my kids to see me every weekend. And so so she kept the bond there. So as soon as it was time for me to come home, she had a place for me to go, an address, halfway house.
Congratulations to her and your kids, bro.
She was instrumental in me being able to get out early, come home, and then move to Atlanta. I moved to Atlanta, on some recommendations of other friends. Everybody's like, because really, I didn't know whether I was going to go back to L.A. or whether I was going to, but everybody kept saying, go to Atlanta. Atlanta's bubbling. It's getting big. The music business, the face is doing this, and this is happening. Go to Atlanta.
Right.
And a friend of mine, again, the guy that started me in this business in a way, Victor Reed, he's like, yo, I got work for you down in Atlanta. You come on down here, and I got a studio, that you could work in, a rehearsal studio.
Right.
And we got some tour stuff coming in.
You came back home to a lot of love.
Yeah, yes,
and that's because you had a lot of love before you left.
Right, and that's
you know what I'm saying.
True.
Like when you just told me. When you came back on the scene and they said, hey, Ron Byrd is back, that just took me back to this old song. Hey now, Byrd is back. Yeah, G. Yeah, G, my boy Byrd, he's back.
Yep.
He's back. The black is back, all in. We gonna win. Check it out. Yeah, y'all, come on. Here he goes again.
He's back. That's right, bro.
Ron Byrd is back, boy. You know what I'm saying? Hey, yo.
I'm trying to think of after I came back. That's when I did Dang, was that, I did, Jay-Z and the Hard Knock Life tour.
Right.
I did DMX, all the, I did most of DMX's tours.
That's another one that just crushed me.
Yeah, that crushed me too, man. We were talking about them, yeah.
Him, DMX, crushed
me.
Hey,
here's a crazy one. I was in London with the Game, right? I was with the Game, and he had his homies.
And I love the Game. Game shouts me out on his records.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Game be giving me big shout out on his records. Game. Eminem shouts me out on his records too.
Yo, that's he's supposed to. They give that respect.
There's certain people, and there's even some groups today that gives me shout outs in their records.
For legends, legends is legends, bro. They got to, man.
Yeah, man.
Well, that's what they thought.
But you was over in London
with Game, and we did a show, and it was like 3 a.m. And we were at this shawarma place that stays open all night in Shepherd's Bush. It's still open there, and you could get like the, where they slice the meat off, the chicken, the lamb, and they make the pitas, but you could get food late at night. So we were there getting food at night, and one of his guys said, yo, man, that dude over there look like DMX, right? And so I look over there, and there's a guy leaning on the wall all by himself, smoking a cigarette.
Right.
And I look, and it's X. But they didn't know that I knew X. I don't, sometimes I don't talk about what I did before. I'm working with a group, so I never said. They was like, yo, that look like X. And I was like, that is X. They was like, no, it's not. I was like, watch this. I said, come on over here. And we walked up on him. You know how X talk, yo, Ron Byrd. They didn't know that I knew him. And they was tripping.
Sound just like the nigga, man.
But he was all by himself. No security, no nobody, by himself, just smoking a cigarette, hanging out on the wall, bro. That blew them away. That they saw DMX leaning, in London by himself, just chilling on a wall, somewhere in London.
Yeah.
But X was a special person, bro. Like I did.
That was my dude.
I did his tours, man. And we used to, man. I remember the Rough Riders. They were such a great family working with them, bro. YD and Siobhan.
Right.
They, and working with X was really great because one thing he had to have his blood every night. The Hennessy and Alizé in the water bottles. We used to mix that and put that on the stage. And it was him and his DJ. Wow. Now, when I first started around him, Swiss was his DJ a lot all the time.
Swiss Beats?
Right. Then in
Swiss
LS1.
Beats used to be DMX's DJ?
Yeah, he always did.
I never knew that.
Yeah, we did Swiss. We did a few shows with
Swiss! Man, shout goes out to Swiss too.
Yeah, he would get up there we would get up there on the turntables and be the DJ. I remember we did the Grand Champion show in New York at the Beacon for X. That was Swiss. But then on the tours we had LS1. You know what I mean? And so, and LS is still DJing in Miami, but X was the only person to this day, to me, in the rap world that could hold the stage down by itself. No dancers, no hype men, no extra motherfuckers, just him and his DJ. And he used to be like a pit bull on that stage from left to right. Yeah. I remember we used to carry his dogs on tour. Many a hotel we got kicked out of. Because, I used to do the hotels and the logistics and all that. And the hotels be like, yo, they can't have pit bulls in the lobby. They fighting pit bulls in the lobby. You guys getting put out the hotel, and then everybody come and say, yo, we got to change hotels. But, X was he was an unbelievable cat, man. And
yes, he was,
and he's going to be well missed, man.
Yeah, there was a time, man, when DMX got locked up out in Phoenix around his birthday time, and I went out there to bail him out.
That's
man. Yeah, that was my dude, right, man. That was my dude. I went out there to bail him out, and by the time I got to the jail, his bail was already paid.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? His bail was already paid and everything, but, we took pictures at the jail and all that. I still got the pictures in my phone. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Check that out. I'm going to give you a DMX story. Right? Here's a good one. Me and my wife and my kids, we're driving on the 85 freeway in Atlanta. We were going somewhere, and... we were pulling jet skis. We were coming from the lake.
Right.
And my wife kept saying, yo, somebody's blowing the horn at you. Somebody's blowing the horn at you. And I was like, who? And I couldn't see it. And I looked over, and it was DMX with some of his sons in the car.
Wow.
And he's like, yo, Ron Byrd, pull over. So he's like, yo, man. He said, I want to go ride some quads. And I was like, well, you got to go out to the power lines out by Lake Lanier, and they got a place out there where they can ride quads and all that. Right. He said, no, I want my own quads, and I want to go ride today with my sons. Right. I was like, bro, I said, I don't have no quads. And he said, what can we do? So, my thought of mine, okay, well, I was like, if you're ready to, I said, I could take you where you can go purchase something. Like, let's go. So I said, hold on, let me get my family home.
Right.
So I got them home, dropped the jet skis. I meet up with him at a place called Mountain Sports where they sell quads, jet skis, off-road shit and all that. We go in the place. Now, X had a black card, or America's black card. We went there, and he bought two, they was like $15,000 each. He bought two quads.
Right.
Brand new off the showroom floor.
Right.
This is in the afternoon. He's ready to go ride. Now, he buys the quads. There's no trailer. The place that we bought them from is like, well, how we going to move these motherfuckers? Bro, there's no trailer, and they don't have no trailer here. It's a special trailer we got to order. It's going to take a week or something.
I bet you he rolled them straight from the place.
No, you know what happened? I saw a guy pulling up with a trailer on the back of his car, dropping his quads off. So I go over to the dude, and I said, how much that trailer worth? He said, man, I paid like $2,800 for this trailer. I was like, you interested in selling it? And he was like, no, not really. I was like, what if we pay you twice what you paid for it? He said, really? I was like, yeah. He said, you can have it. We bought the trailer from the guy in the parking lot, put the trailer on the back of my truck, put the quads on the truck. I drove him in they bought the helmets and everything. I still got the helmets in my garage right now. I still got the actual helmets that he bought in my garage. Because the quads, here's the story. We took him out to the power lines.
Right.
And him and his sons rode quads all day on the power lines out there. Had a blast and all that. Now, when the sun's going down, it's time to go home.
Right. And
he's getting in his car with his kids. I'm like, yo, what am I doing with the quads? He's like, take them home, keep them. He's like, use them, but keep them in your driveway. I'm like, yo, man, I'm not going to use your quads. These are $15,000 machines. I'm not like, I'll take them to my house until you figure out what you want to do. And then, but I'm not going to ride your quads, bro. I'm just going to leave them in my driveway. So I took the motherfuckers home. They sat in my driveway for like 6 months. Right? So finally, my wife and everybody like, yo, we got skis in the driveway, quads in the driveway. We ain't got no room for it. So I rented a locker, one of them storage lockers, whatever.
Right.
And so I rented the locker. I put the quads in the locker. I called his management and I told him, I said, hey, here's where the quads are. Here's what it's costing each month. But his quads is here. And now I don't ever know what happened after that, right? Because he changed management a few times. But then I saw him one time. He said, yo, Ron Byrd, where's my quads? I was like, what quads, man? It's like 2 years ago. He's like, man, where my quads at, Byrd? And matter of fact, I had my sons with me. He's like, come on in the back of the bus and talk to me. And my sons was like, damn, Dad, what's going on? Dad and X is giving me a problem. But we was laughing because he was like, where my quads at? I was like, man, I put them quads in the storage place, gave the key to one of your managers. I know you got another manager since then. Like, I don't know where they would have him, but it was all good. But that was a DMX story. I had his quads in my driveway, and he just went and bought them joints and riding.
And the best part is, he wasn't even mad, man.
No. That's what I said. It was all love.
It was all love. It was all love.
But what impressed me is that he reminded me of that was my Rick James syndrome, because he said, I'm going to go ride quads today, no matter what, in his mind. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we went and bought quads, bought a trailer,
right,
and he took his kids quad riding that day, and he owned a pair of quads that I don't think he ever rode again.
Wow.
But that was one of my ex stories again. He was a phenomenal cat, man.
So Byrd, check this out, man. Today now,
mm-hmm.
Who are you moving around now? I came to see you last night. Yeah. You had Lil Yachty.
Yeah, we had
you know what I'm saying?
Lil Yachty. I've been working with for a while. I've been working with a brother named Coach K. He great guy. He's over at QC now, and he had brought me in to do Young Jeezy for him, and I did a few other groups. And Coach,
you said QC. That's the label that the Migos are.
Right, and I did the Migos too.
Still on QC?
Yeah, everybody's still on QC.
I got a record with the Migos.
Oh, we need to get that out.
I'm gonna let you hear it. I'm gonna let you hear it when we done with this.
I did the Migos. Really, before I did Yachty, I did the Migos.
Matter of fact, it's a guy named J Money, right? J Money from Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? And he did a tribute record to me called Flavor Flav. And he's got the Migos on this record.
Wow, I gotta hear that.
You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna let you hear this.
I want to hear that, man. Have they heard it? Do they remember that record? I want to do they remember that record. Yo, Migos, you guys hear that?
I bet you the Migos probably don't remember. It was done so long ago. It was done like maybe 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago.
It's got to be hot if they on it, period.
But check this out. I'm gonna re-release that record.
Oh, that'd
You
be
know
dope.
why? Because we made that record for the world to hear, not for me to sit on.
Right, that's right.
You know what I'm
In
saying? So
facts.
no matter how old it is,
Right.
I mean, it was released at one time, but it didn't do all that great. I guess because it wasn't pushed right,
Right.
wasn't promoted right. But after that, I mean, Amigos, man, right now, and it's one of my favorite groups, bro.
They remind
Love
me.
the Migos,
toured
man. I
with
love
them.
and my dude Quavo.
Yes.
He gives Flav mad love, bro. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I want to still meet Offset. You know what I'm saying?
They all say. I remember they had an argument
Takeoff.
about groups. They say
Man,
they're the best
I love
group.
the fucking Migos, man. The Migos.
What you think? Or you think they're the best group ever?
Huh?
They say they're the best group ever.
There's a lot of groups that's
Right.
the
That's
best
what I always
groups
said.
ever.
Right. That's what I always said. When they asked
You
me
know
that,
what
I
I'm
was
saying?
like, well, I don't know. I worked for Public Enemy. I worked for Eric B. and Rakim. I worked for Bone Thugs and Harmony. And they were all groups. And they all sold out arenas with their names on the marquee. You know what I'm saying? Where it said tonight, sold out, Public Enemy.
Yeah.
They didn't say, Summer Jam, Birthday Bash,
Right.
Or Jingle Ball Jam.
Right.
See, that's the one thing that changed a lot of the game too, was all these Christmas shows and birthday shows and summer jam shows, what made them people think that this was like their show, and it was like them just being a part of a bigger event, which made sense. But you can't count those shows. When I talk about shows, see, I've been on tour with you guys, or with Run DMC,
that's right,
or with Eric B. and Rakim.
That's right.
Where when I pulled up to the arena, the first thing I did is I looked at the marquee to make sure that what the marquee said, because that was part of the contract.
Right.
If it was like, the Dope Jam or,
right.
Whatever the tour was, everything had to be correct, and management wanted to make sure that. I'd take a picture. That's why I got pictures now on a lot of the marquees, because I always took a picture of the marquee to make sure management could see that it said, tonight, Public Enemy, featuring.
Right.
Biz Marquee, whoever, And I saw that Biz was sick lately too. I remember doing a lot of shows with Biz. Every time Biz see me, say, "Yo, Ron Byrd, where's the videotapes?" Well, they coming, Biz. I finally pulled all my videotapes out the archive, and I'm having everything digitized. And some of them tapes that you're talking about, I heard my people say Biz is on there. Public Enemy. I got a show with you guys with EU.
Wow.
Remember EU? It was Public Enemy and EU.
I remember a group called EU.
Right, they was like a go-go or something, right? Yeah, out of D.C.
Yeah, out of D.C., man. That was the go-go music.
Yeah, but I got, so I've been, like I say, the archives and the tapes is starting to come, but, in the end, these groups, man, I've worked with a lot of groups, but the Migos, but, for today, there's no hands down. They are the greatest group. But I always say, well, there's been so many great groups, man.
There's so many
sold out
groups
arenas
right
and
now,
stadiums.
Man. Let me tell you something, man. When it comes down to Public Enemy, Run DMC, Eric B. and Rakim, Naughty by Nature, all of the old groups. Let me tell you something. All of us are the greatest groups ever. You know what I'm saying? Just like right now, today, you got a lot of hot groups right now, you know what I'm saying, in the music industry. And all of these groups, to me, are the greatest groups ever.
Yeah,
I don't just single out one group to be the greatest
ever. You can't, because everybody had their...
You can't.
Everybody had their time
and
their audience that they pushed to. And again, from a touring perspective, all I ever looked at is who's putting asses in the seats in the arena.
Yeah, who can fill up that arena?
Who can fill up that arena?
Who can keep the crowd to stick around until they finish performing?
That's right. And that's what always my gauge.
Those are the greatest groups ever. Yeah.
And that's all you guys.
The ones that
again, that's everybody again.
The ones that can fulfill the wishes of the people who spent their money to come to a gig to see a good show.
Right. That's exactly.
Those are the greatest groups ever to me.
That's right.
The ones that can fulfill the wishes of these people that's paying this money to come see people perform.
Yeah, because we didn't mention the Hot Boys. I still think that the Hot Boys was really, you had Juvenile, you had Lil Wayne, you had BG, and you had Turk, and all of them went on to have on different levels of success in solo careers. Even to this day, they still record music, still out there hot. I remember, I used to say one of my, how I worked for you. I'm gonna tell you something funny. I got a call one night from a brother named CeeLo. Rest in peace, CeeLo.
You remember my boy
Yeah, that was,
CeeLo?
that was. See, people don't even know
that was
how,
my boy.
Yeah, man, all he talked about was Public Enemy. I'm talking before there was 50 Cent and him working with Cash Money on him. He loved you guys. He always talked about you guys. Always. You know, CeeLo was my dude because he was one of the few. He was one of some of the. See, having black bus drivers in our business, it's little stuff like that, people understand. You would have country western drivers. They hated us. They didn't like us. They was like, oh, man, I got to drive these black tour again. You know, so when they found out they was going to do a black tour, they didn't even want to do the tour. So my job was to try and find black bus drivers. And CeeLo was one of them. And he wound up, but CeeLo wound up being, you know, an executive in the business, helping broker deals, helping bring, he was working, he was Birdman's right hand over there at Cash Money. Right. But before that, he called me and said, yo, Ron, he said, I want you to come check this show out tonight. He said, it's unbelievable. He said, they need your help. And I'm like, who are you talking about? And he said, it's the Cash Money Millionaires. I didn't know who they were, but my kids knew who they were. So my dad was like, my kids were like, and my wife too. My wife was like, oh yeah, I've been hearing them on the radio. She said, we should go check it out. We got in our car, me and my wife, and we drove to Birmingham from Atlanta to go see a Cash Money show. It was Too Short, UGK, and Cash Money Millionaires, the Hot Boys. And I got to the arena. It was pandemonium backstage. No, it was 200 people back there, no credentials. We walked right in. CeeLo was like, look at this. It's out of control. There's nobody really in control of this. And then we walked around. He showed me the merch booths. People was bootlegging, selling all kind of stuff. They had nothing to do with Cash Money. They didn't know nothing about it. Right. Then the show went on. Too Short rocked it out.
Wow.
UGK rocked it out. But the sound system blew up right after UGK.
Right.
So now Cash Money's going up next. They try to do one song, whatever, but the sound system blows up again and they can't do the show. So now it's a full-blown riot. It's a riot. We're getting out the building. Me and my wife is in that car. We're following CeeLo behind the bus. He's driving the bus out of there, driving over the cars and shit. He's getting us out of there. Because it's a riot. It's a riot going on because now Cash Money's not performing. Uh-huh. And so when we get back to the hotel, I sit down and talk with Slim. I show him stage designs and stuff. And then I remember Birdman was like, well, what can you do? What we need you for? We're already doing this thing. But what I explained to them is that, like tonight, what happened with the sound system? They was like, man, we spent like $12,000 on that sound system. I said, really? I was like, that's about $7,000 worth of sound up there. Whoever told you that is lying to you. So they said, get the promoter on the phone. He got the promoter on the phone. That could be somebody I know. So he said, tell him what you just said. I was like, yo, you told them people that this is $12,000 worth of sound? I said, dude, that's $7,000 worth of sound up there. Why are you beating these kids like this? And he was like, what are you talking about? Because now he's like, you work for them now or something? I was like, no. I said, but I'm advising them. And sure enough, they realized that, because they thought that UGK or Too Short blew the P up. They was like, damn, they messed the sound up. And I was like, no, bro, the promoter didn't have the adequate sound. And sure enough, I went to the next show with him in Detroit, and I showed them some other stuff and all that, and that's when they was like, yo, we need you to work with us. And that's it. But CeeLo made that call, bro. Man. Your boy CeeLo.
Yo, man, and you know what? I'm sitting here right now trying to find on my phone Ron Byrd.
Who?
The video of me and CeeLo. And the reason why I was trying to find this video I wanted to show you is because I was like the last one with him.
Oh man!
Before he passed away.
When I got the call, I was heard about that too.
I was trying to find this picture. I was trying to find this here in my phone, man. You know what I'm saying? And me and CeeLo.
I want to see that though when you find it.
You know what? I'm gonna.
You was in. Yo, he talked about you all the time, bro. He talked about.
I'm gonna find it for you. That's why I didn't mean to be rude to pick up my phone.
I know what you. No,
during your interview, but I wanted to find this picture of me and CeeLo for you.
Yes.
Because that was my dude, man. You know what I'm saying? He's from Roosevelt, Long Island. And not only that, but there was a time when I was out in Louisiana, and I went to visit CeeLo because he was the bus driver for Juvenile and them. And he took me over to Juvie's crib. Yo, Juvie let me drive his car, man. Juvenile let Flavor Flav get in his car and drive his car around, man.
Was it one of the yellow cars? One time Juvie had all the cars yellow. They had the yellow Rolls Royce, the yellow Corvettes, the yellow, Porsches, everything was yellow.
It was it was a red. It was something red, I think.
Yeah, but
I got the picture too in my other phone.
I can imagine that Juvie was always good people.
Yeah, man, man. Because I mean, one thing.
CeeLo really made. I was on the bus.
That was my
in New
dude.
York when
and he was a firefighter too.
Oh, see, I didn't know he was a firefighter.
Yeah, he was a firefighter in Roosevelt.
See, you know how I got hooked up with CeeLo? On the Hard Knock Life tour.
Wow.
Because some of the people from Rockefeller was like, we want him to be our bus driver. See, I used to make companies hire black people if they wanted to do our tours.
Right.
Quiet as kept. Truck companies, sound companies, light companies. That's why some people love me, some people hate me. Because I'd be like, they'd be like, oh, we don't know no black bus drivers. Okay, well, I'm going to find you some. Right. You know what I mean? That's why I dealt with Jerry Calhoun at Entertainment Coaches of America, a Florida coach, because he would hire black.
Jerry Calhoun.
That's right. He's still. You got to talk to him. I'm gonna put you on the phone with Jerry. He'd love to hear you, bro. But he's still down there. But Jerry was one of the first that really went out and hired black bus drivers. But they had independent bus drivers. But I mean, as a company, because he knew we were saying, hey, we want black bus drivers driving with us, or we want black truck drivers driving with us. If there's 12 trucks on this tour, 6 trucks got to be driven by a black guy.
Right.
We don't. That's just the way it's got to be. So that's how I met CeeLo, because we made the company bring CeeLo on as a bus driver for the Hard Knock Life tour.
Wow.
And so after that, me and CeeLo bonded, and I was around him. We did a lot of other stuff. But I remember when you were talking about when he was with Juvenile. I remember when we was in New York when 50 Cent and him came on the bus. He used to always say, I got this dude. He knew Sean Money and all them. He used to be like, I got this kid, that 50 Cent. Matter of fact, it's because of CeeLo that 50 Cent even opened for some of the Cash Money dates. The label paid. But 50 opened on some of those Cash Money dates.
Wow.
And because of CeeLo. That was CeeLo. That's right. CeeLo couldn't made that because it was us to us.
So then 50 should remember CeeLo.
Yeah, absolutely. He brought 50 on the bus, on Juvie's bus, to do some music. And that's when Young Buck was there. Young Buck tells the story. I seen him talking about it.
Is that how 50 met Young Buck?
Yep. That's how he met, because
on
of CeeLo.
Juvenile's bus?
Absolutely. Yes.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yep. So CeeLo was instrumental in Young Buck, making that connection.
Right, because Young Buck was his man.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, right before CeeLo passed away, CeeLo was putting me on the phone with Young Buck.
Yeah, CeeLo was always there.
Man.
He drove Juvie, like when Juvie had left Cash Money, was doing his own thing for a while.
Yeah.
CeeLo
he lived on a bus. Matter of fact, CeeLo put me on the phone with Young Buck, even maybe 3 days or 4 days before he passed away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, he stayed in touch with everybody. He always talked to me, and that was hurtful when I got the call about CeeLo. Yeah, he was important to us. He was important to a lot of people, bro. A lot of people behind the scenes. All y'all, if you listen to me now, he always talked about Silbert.
My boy Silbert,
who's doing Lil Wayne right now.
Right. Silbert doing big things.
Right.
And can I tell you something? When it come down to Silbert, I was his first job.
I
was his first road managing job ever.
You raised him well.
That's right.
Because I like to see the new generation who's coming up that's going to replace us old heads. So Silbert is one of the ones that does it all. He knows it all. He ain't just somebody that showed up.
And that's how I got to meet Post Malone, too, through Sil.
Through Sil?
I met a lot of people through Sil, man, because Sil is like you.
Yeah, that's what I say. I love
just like you. Yeah. Production manager, tour manager. Right. He knows the whole kit and caboodle.
That's right.
He's another Ron Byrd to me.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's my brother.
But on another but in another element, on another level.
Yes.
He's another Ron Byrd, but on another level.
That's right. I give him that. And these are the new young bulls that's coming up that know this business. Kid, if somebody called me and said, "Hey, we looking for a production manager, tour manager," I know his hands is full with Lil Wayne and all that, but Silbert would be the first one that I recommend. You know what I mean?
That's right. We talking about my boy Silbert Money. You know what I'm saying? That's right. From Baldwin, Long Island. That's right. I was his first road managing job. You know what I'm saying? And ever since then, my man blew up. He came up, man. You know what I'm saying? Now all he does is run shows. Yeah. Sis, you kind of distracted me, man, with that. Yeah, I'm sorry, you distracted me. But anyway, yeah.
But yeah, man, that's it. But so that's CeeLo. That was devastating when I heard about that because he was a good people and he was a good connector. He was a good friend, and he always was connecting people. That was him, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
man,
that's
CeeLo was my dude, man. You know what I'm saying? Well, you knew Shock G, right?
No, you know what? I've been around him on the shows, but I didn't know him like I know you. Right? I didn't really get to like parlay with him like that. But him passing, it was just sad because he's young. These are young guys.
That broke my heart too when he passed away, man. You know what I'm saying? And then also to rest in peace, my boy rapper Ecstasy.
Oh yeah,
from Houdini.
Oh man, we did shows with Houdini.
Yes, man, we did shows with Houdini, and that was. I mean, oh man.
Houdini was, I used to love these shows, man. They were so smart. They were so cool.
Yeah.
They had all the chicks, man. Oh,
yes, they did.
Man, they had the chicks fainting, passing out.
Yes, they did, man.
They was the ones, man.
So who's your funnest group right now that you move around? Because right now you moving around some heavy hitters, man. I mean, from this young generation era now. My
favorite right now, though, I'm gonna tell you on God. Is Little Yachty, and I've been I was doing the Migos, and
how was it moving the Migos around?
That was cool too. It was good. They're good dudes.
Yeah,
it's 3 people, and it was production wise, it was good. Everything was good. There was no problem with them, but Culture told me about Little Yachty. And I was doing the Migos at the time, so I called a friend of mine, and when I was leaving the Migos, and I called him in, and a guy named Kenny Simpson, good friend of mine, he did Jeezy and Monica, and a few other tours, but he's doing the Migos right now. And I went on to do Little Yachty. One thing I tell you about working with Little Yachty, in 3 years, we never missed a plane, we never were late for a flight, we never got kicked out of a hotel. We never missed a call time. I don't care, video shoot, or whatever it was. One thing, he follows the schedules, and we're on time for everything. Oh, that's not, in our business, come on, we all been, where you at? We waking people up. Many times I had to wake artists up. You're supposed to be on stage right now, and they shaking them out, they stupid or whatever. But, Yachty's always, he's a good kid, always on time, and I like his music is crazy. Some people say, mumble rap, whatever. Man, you know what I say about that mumble rap shit? That's just that generation not understanding the new generation. Because guess what? Every time some type of rap genre came out, there was people that didn't like it. They didn't like gangster rap. They didn't like conscious rap. Not, some people did, but there was always the ones that talked about it. You know what I mean? They didn't like it when it went to the South. They didn't like it when it went to the West. And then they didn't like it when this new generation of, they just talk different. But, it's not, because you can't understand it. The people that's listening to understand it. Follow this. I've been on 2 world tours with Lil Yachty. Not just, most of y'all say a world tour is, I went to London and I went to Paris. And when I say world tour, I mean Japan, Indonesia, Thailand.
Wow.
Korea.
Wow.
China. Multiple cities.
Right.
Not just, multiple cities in Japan. Multiple cities in China.
Right.
We did Shanghai, Guangzhou, Chengdu, Seoul, Korea, Jakarta.
Wow.
What is that place in Thailand? Phuket.
Right.
And Bangkok.
Wow.
And where else did we go? We did more. Then Australia.
Right.
And I'm saying this is Lil Yachty. So they can say what they want to say about him in the U.S. We doing worldwide tours. We're flying all over the world doing tours.
That's big.
There's a lot of people that use sometimes.
That's big.
And that's what I used to gauge acts on too. Is what's your international leg like? Like you guys. I remember us doing London. I remember we was in Paris one time. I know it's Run DMC. I know it was the Beastie Boys. You had to have been there. It was on that tour. And remember the Africans? We got into a fight. The Beastie Boys was throwing alcohol. They used to throw beer.
Right.
They would throw beer.
Right.
And in Paris, the whole front row was Africans, and they was throwing beer, and the Africans was getting mad.
Right.
And they was like, You know, they bum rushed the stage. We had to fight the motherfuckers and everything. We had mic stands and we had to fight. Russell was there. Leora was there.
Right,
I remember Hurricane. I remember me and Hurricane was standing on the stage with mic stands whacking people. You know,
wow.
But we had to get to the bus. We tried to get out of there. They popped the tires on the bus.
So y'all couldn't get out.
So we couldn't get out. Bruh. Man,
wow.
But we made, the police came and, got it under control and we got out of there, but we didn't do the show that night. You know what I mean? Everything got turned out,
Right. Y'all couldn't do the show that night. I mean.
No, but that, so,
right.
Again, like, there's so much stuff that it's been fun, but sometimes be crazy on these road shows, man.
Yeah.
This tour life, but, again, I look back on it as all instances of, being amongst the gods.
Right.
I mean, you told me to say, like me, but, being amongst the real gods, man, you guys, man, like, I'm telling you, just now, I remember the last show that I came to see you guys at was in Atlanta, that Harry Belafonte tribute show. It's a benefit show. I got a picture of my phone.
And I missed that show because I was scheduled for another gig somewhere else. And to this day, Chuck is so mad at me because I missed that gig. And he's trying to say that I missed it on purpose when I really didn't miss that show on purpose because I was contracted somewhere else on the same day that they happen to have this Harry Belafonte tribute.
Right, yeah.
If so happens that I wasn't contracted that same day, man, I would have came to Harry Belafonte's thing first. Because it was Harry Belafonte and Quincy Jones that inducted us into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Wow.
So there's no way that I would not be there for Harry Belafonte.
Right.
But I was under contract. If I didn't make my gig, yes, I would have got sued like crazy in the whole nine. So I had to take my contracted gig over that.
Right.
And Chuck to this day holds me for that.
Oh man,
you know what I'm saying?
Because it was kind of like a benefit, and there was a lot of people on them shows. Different genres of acts.
Yeah,
I was there with T.I. Matter of fact, I was there that day. I was working with Tip. I did. Again, Tip was I did a lot of the tours that T.I. did. Out of Atlanta. When I was mentioning Atlanta groups, I got to not mention T.I. the King. But that's we were on that show that day. I was there with Tip that day.
Yo, man, I'm serious, man. I'm just thinking about that right now, man, and how to this day Chuck still holds me for that, man. And I'm gonna tell you something, man. Chuck is like, yo, you could have came and did this gig and then still got on the Flight Major gig. But Chuck, what would have happened if I would have missed the plane to my gig?
Oh yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yo, but I'm telling Chuck, right? I'm like, but what happens if I would have missed the plane on my gig and I wouldn't have been able to make my gig?
Right.
I don't care. You should have still been there. You jerked Harry Belafonte. I'm like, Chuck, I did not jerk Harry Belafonte. I was contracted for a gig that day. What don't you get?
Right.
My dude, and to this day, Chuck ain't trying to hear shit.
Oh, now when
all he knows is I didn't show up for Harry Belafonte's thing. And
I was there. I was on the side of the stage. Even though Tip was on another stage when Public Enemy performed, I had to be there. And when I saw Chuck,
well, Chuck need to understand. If it wasn't for my gig, I really, really would have made Harry Belafonte's. Come on, man. So what? It was a benefit. I don't care. Right. It would have still benefited Harry. It would have benefited me to be there for Harry.
I'm gonna tell you one thing about that you don't know, that you were the first rapper, hip hop artist that I ever saw stage dive on a real show. Now I'm not gonna say somebody in the park or something like that. I'm talking about on a consistent basis. They would jump in the audience and let the audience carry them around and push them up and all that.
Yeah.
You started that. Now everybody does it. Yachty does it. The Trippie Redd kid, I was working with Trippie Redd. He does it. All these, Travis Scott does it. Everybody does it now. But you were the first one. And I used to every night, I know security was too, but we always would be like, damn, now we got to go out there and help get him back in the audience, because you would jump out and didn't care where it was at, and nobody, we didn't know if the crowd was going to get you back to the stage or not. You know,
right. You had to come out.
You didn't even care though. You just doing what you do. But now we got to figure out, you know, how we going to get this man back to the stage safely. You know,
right.
But you were the first hip hop guy that I ever saw on stage diver, bro.
And you know what? A lot of the younger generation rappers right now, they don't really notice that much about Flav. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And a lot of the younger generation think that, you know, I just came from TV, the Flavor of Love, this and that and this. Man. But a lot of them don't really know my history of when I first came into the music game in 1986, and I was that first street nigga on records.
Right.
The first street nigga, G. The first real life street nigga, G. To bring styles to the culture. You know what I'm saying? I brought slang words. You know what I'm saying? I brought out
slang words,
dress styles,
everything.
You know, a lot of the younger generation don't know that.
You know what you did too? I'm
the one that blew up Nike.
Right, you came out every night on stage with stage stuff for the stage. You know
for the stage,
A lot of rappers just wore the same shit, came out and rapped and went back to the dressing room in the same shit. And when you had special, coats and jackets and you rocked the hats.
And that's why I say that I blew up Nike, because Nike. I remember, man, coming to LA, and then we used to go to the Nike store, and Nike used to just give me all of their shit for free, right? And then I remember when they came out with these neon-colored suits, track suits and shit, right? I was the first one to wear neon. The next thing you know, everybody starts wearing neon.
Yeah,
I'm the one that bought this neon color shit around, I bought a lot of shit, man. Oh, man, I don't even need to start with all the stuff that I done started, man. Even, I remember, come on, man, back in the days, even though it was Africa from the Jungle Brothers that had dreads, right? But they weren't really all that visible.
Right.
Like Public Enemy was. When I came with my dreads. When I came out with my dreads,
wearing dreads,
I'm the one that really introduced this dreadlock shit to rap music.
And remember this, think of this, bro. Think of this.
I did that. I'm the one that's responsible for everybody wearing dreads, and then everybody wearing bald heads, remember?
Right. No, but the thing is, when you wear the dreads,
I don't want to start me.
It's so
this
natural.
Is a Ron Byrd interview, not a Flavor Flav interview.
This is about you, because the dread thing, remember, I had dreads. I had long dreads, too. The dreads, when we grew our dreads, our parents, I don't know nobody wore dreads then. Right. You wasn't part of a Jamaican posse, or you wasn't a real Rasta man, or somewhere in Brooklyn or Jamaica, or you wasn't wearing no dreads.
That's right.
At you like you was crazy.
That's
what are you wearing dreads for? You done lost your mind. My mom thought I was crazy. Everybody, like now it's all acceptable. Everybody wear dreads. But back when we wore our dreads, when we first started rocking our dreads, I'm sure people was like, man, what are you doing? That's not your image, So I remember when I grew my dreads, when I first started growing mine, I was working for Rick. I went to Jamaica with Rick. I got turned out. I saw Peter Tosh perform as the sun came up, and that's when I realized that I understood the understanding of Rastafari.
Okay,
so
no doubt.
That's why I grew my dreads. But nobody had no dreads. Remember when I was running around?
Nobody had dreads.
I had dreads. They used to call me the Rastafari minder.
Nobody in rap music had dreads. And I mean, the only one that had it, like I said, was Africa from Jungle Brothers.
Right.
But he wasn't really being seen that much.
Right.
Everybody didn't start coming with this dread shit until I took my hat off in England. When I took my hat off in England and I had my dreads and I started shaking my dreads,
it went crazy.
Everybody went crazy. Then here come Das Effects.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Here comes Criss Cross. Yeah. And then everybody else start coming with the dreads.
Now everybody got dreads.
And then one day, got stressed, cut my hair, and I had a bald head.
Yeah, I remember
You know what I'm saying? And we was out on tour with Run DMC. I'll never forget it. The next thing you know, while we was out on stage, Ron, I took my hat off. Run D and J seen that shit, and they went crazy. Next thing you know, they went bald.
Yeah,
and when they went bald, now everybody start sporting the ball heads.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it's the shit that I started first.
Well, I encourage anybody that think that they don't know Flavor from TV, try and look at some old Public Enemy concert footage, bruh. That shit was knocking. Y'all,
Thank you, man.
The music
you, man.
that Hank put together, it translated to the stage. Your guys' intro, everything you guys had, just everything you guys did on stage, the consciousness, the craziness. You know, Terminator X was always like slamming, bro. Like doing a Public Enemy show to this day, I still get chills talking about it because I remember how y'all rocked out on that stage, bro. And,
yes, bro.
And it was all hits. Like right now, my playlist right now, I got a Public Enemy playlist. Like, damn, everything's hits. It's 50 songs. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm talking about really hits. Not, you know.
Right.
A lot of these kids don't know. So when they start talking about, again, start talking about the greatest groups and all that, everybody got their greatness in the genre. But, bruh, I got at least 30 hit records on my phone right now that were hit records that y'all would play on stage.
No doubt.
And turn the house out.
Hey, yo, check this out. Let me bring this back around to today, right? So, okay, so last night I came, you had Lil Yachty. And you did mention working with the Migos. Who else from today have you worked with?
Oh, let's see.
Yeah, I want to hear names. Yeah, bring me names.
I've been,
name them all.
Dang, man, I gotta look him up.
Like Ariana Grande. Have you ever worked with her? No. Have you ever worked with Nicki Minaj?
Well, I was on tour with her.
Lil Wayne. Come on, give me some names, bro. Start name dropping.
Okay, I'll start name dropping.
Yeah, I want you to name drop.
Okay, let's start with
on
Akon.
My podcast. I want everybody to know who my boy Ron Byrd is, G. Y'all gonna remember my boy. Y'all heard me? Ron Byrd. Bird is the word. Yeah, G. Yeah, come on, Bird.
Okay, well, let's say Akon. I love Akon. I did all the Akons for about 4 years. I traveled international and across the U.S. I did all the Akon shows. I'm talking about all over Africa, all over the Middle East, all over Asia, all over South America. Wherever Akon did a show, we put a stage up in Haiti. I'm gonna tell you the greatest shows I ever did in my life. Now, you didn't ask me the greatest show when we're talking about these artists was I went to Haiti with Wycliffe in the Fugees for the first time for the homecoming, the Fugees homecoming. That was the greatest show I've ever done because no matter, I don't care who, nobody's had more people show up. They had over 300,000 people.
For the Fugees?
For the Fugees in Haiti. It was only supposed to be 50,000. They expected 50,000. We built a stage in Port-au-Prince in front of the palace.
Wow.
And we put sea containers all around so we could put up a wall. And they was going to regulate the doors and they was only going to let like 50,000 people in. All I know is the people came from everywhere. We wound up with they say 250 to 300,000 people as far as your eye can see. And that was the Fugees. Now, I go back, the reason I'm saying that is, see, I was working with Akon. So Akon says, yo, we're getting ready to go to Haiti this weekend. You know, because sometimes it'd be a last minute thing, but I got to arrange the jets and, everything, all our movement.
Right.
And Big Ja from Brooklyn. Big Ja.
Right.
Big Ja was one of the greatest managers that I ever worked with. Robert Carnes, Big Ja. He was Akon's, dealing with Akon's, part of Akon's management team. Right. And Ja would call me and say, well, we're doing this, we're doing that. But he called me and said, yo, I'm not going, but I need you to go with Akon. He's going to Haiti with Wycliffe.
Right.
Now, first we flew over and we went to the kitchens and stuff that Wycliffe did, so I went all over. We go back to Haiti, and Akon brings his band, and it's Wycliffe, Jean, and his band,
right,
and Akon, and they do another show in Haiti. 200,000 people, bro.
Wow.
It was you cry at shit like that when you see black people doing the shows in Africa with Akon where 50,000, 60,000 people showing up and everybody's like just pandemonium. They're going crazy. They love him. He's like a god over there,
Yes.
And just like Wycliffe was a god over, however they say it, in Haiti, they love Wycliffe.
Right.
Those, so I traveled around the world with Akon. More people that recently, I did 2 Chainz. From the beginning, he used to be with Ludacris. I did Ludacris, Ludacris's tour. So he was on the tours with us. He was Titty Boy then. But he kept saying, man, I'm gonna do my own thing. Blah, blah. And he always told me, I'm gonna come get you, when I do my thing.
Right.
And I'd be like, yeah, okay. But when he blew up and became 2 Chainz, and I remember I went to his studio and he played a record for me because, I kind of was cool with him and he invited me over and he played I'm Riding Around and I'm Getting It. And he's like, I'm getting ready to go shoot the video for this record. He said, then I'm gonna need you. And sure enough, he came back and got me and I did some tours with him. We did the Nicki Minaj Roman tour. He was the opening act on that, but we did America's Most Wanted, which was T.I., 2 Chainz and Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne was the headliner. I did Tip on that.
Okay.
And I helped set up, the team for 2 Chainz. So, but I've done 2 Chainz. Recently, I did dang, who else? Rihanna. Oh, I was on the Rihanna tour.
Yeah,
well, I was doing Travis
Rihanna
Scott.
too?
I did.
And Travis Scott too?
No, I was doing Travis Scott. At first, I was doing. Lior called me and he was doing 300. Lior said, I got these 2 guys that's going to go out. They need somebody that knows this tour shit. And so I wound up doing the rodeo tours. I did 2 rodeo tours, which was Travis Scott and Young Thug together.
Wow.
They was going, they was both together. And so I did those tours. And then I went on to stay with Travis after the rodeo tours. I did all the Travis Scott stuff up to when he did the roller coaster thing. It was called, I forgot what it was called. He had, what's the show that he had in Houston? It was called Astroworld. Wow. But I did everything up for Travis Scott up to then. So I did, the tour stuff for Travis Scott. I was T.I.'s, Clay was the tour manager, Clay Evans, and he always called me for Tip, and I was Tip's production manager on numerous shows, numerous tours. So I did on T.I. I did I did French Montana.
Wow, French Montana.
And just before COVID, I went to Egypt with French, and I went to Dubai with French.
Love me some French, bro.
Matter of fact, I went to the pyramids with French. We had a day off.
That's crazy.
We went to the pyramids. And matter of fact, only twice. And I've been to the pyramids 4 times.
Right.
Because of this music business.
Right.
And the one time, 2 times, I was able to go in, like they opened up the pyramids and allowed us to penetrate and go to the throne room, right? The first time I went inside the pyramids was with Akon. The second time I went inside the pyramids was with French Montana.
Wow.
So, but French, we did a photo shoot there, and so I did some shows with French. I did when I did Travis Scott, we did the Weekend tour. We did the whole tour with the Weekend.
Wow,
Travis was
the
Weekend. And then I was Travis's
man.
I was Travis's production manager.
Amazing motherfucker,
tour manager.
yo.
Yeah,
Love the Weekend.
His show was amazing.
Yeah,
and Travis,
I bet you it is.
And really, when that tour was out, they just wanted Travis to come out and do a show. But Travis always wants production. That's what I love about Travis. He was like, he'll spend his own money to make sure that he has production.
Right.
And so when we told the Weekend that we was bringing production, his production people was like, well, no, we don't want none of it. We got a special stage and da. But we was like, well, what we're going to bring is going to be up in 10 minutes and down in 10 minutes. They was like, no way, you can't do this. You're going to make us go into overtime and all that. Anyway, we built a whole big production for Travis. That shit went up in 10 minutes, got out the way in 10 minutes, and every night the Weekend's crew was like, thank you. You did exactly what you said you was going to do.
Wow.
And it was the same with Rihanna. We went on the Rihanna tour. Travis Scott was the support act. They allowed it. First, they didn't want us to bring no production. But Chris Gratton was a friend of mine who was the production manager for Rihanna at the time. And he also was the production manager for Yeezus. When I did Kendrick Lamar also. I forgot that I did Kendrick on the Yeezus tour.
I love Kendrick, man.
Yeah,
Kendrick!
Yeah, we killed that, and that was an honor because I really felt that I finally got to work with somebody from my home. You know what I mean? I really got to, so I did Kendrick on the Yeezus tour.
Right.
I did the Game. I did all the Games tours. And I was from the beginning. I remember when the beginning, DJ Quick was his DJ.
Right.
And then he got the New Jersey Devil, and then Chris Styles, but I was with Game on a lot of tours. We did 2 Snoop tours overseas.
Right.
Game toured more overseas than anybody that I ever toured with. Game did more. See, so I gauge, like people talk, even by people like, they talk about Jay-Z, you know what I mean? Jay-Z hasn't even toured the places. I've been to Ireland, Dublin, Belfast, a few times, not one time.
Few times.
Scotland,
Right.
Liverpool, every city in Germany, everything you can name, Frankfurt, Hamburg, Dusseldorf, Berlin, at least 6 cities in Germany with the game. Every Scandinavian country, every European country, France, Game did 2 sold-out nights in Bercy by itself with his name on the marquee. Not a festival, not featuring the Game. 15,000 sold out, Bercy, two times.
Game.
You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is that these are brothers that I travel with international around the globe. And I remember when we did Dublin and Belfast, we had to take a ferry from the UK in a storm. Like everybody was sick. Because it was like during the wintertime, and we put the tour buses and everything into the.
And y'all went to the
Ireland,
to the cliffs of past the cliffs of Dover.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Come on now.
You got the cliffs of Dover, the white cliffs of Dover.
A worldwide tour historian.
Right. So to get to Ireland, you got to go by the cliffs of Dover.
All of these places that you're naming right now, I've been in these places like 8 times and better.
That's right. So you know Dublin, and like not everybody goes. Not everybody goes to Ireland. They go do a club in Ireland, not an arena.
Right.
I did Chris Brown too. I did Chris Brown in Europe and Africa, and we did Dubai. We did Africa.
Everything he does is amazing. He got everybody going crazy. He's got what everybody needs. All that, Chris Brown, he got all that.
Here's a crazy story, right? I was on the Scream tour. It was Bow Wow and Lil Zane and a few other people. I think B2K or something, right?
Right.
But I was working for this brother, a good brother.
B2K, my man Raz B.
Right, well, they was on the tour, but I was with Lil Zane. I was working for a guy named Kevin Wells. K. Wells is he was a well-known manager and everything, and I used to do a lot of stuff for him, and he had me on holding down Lil Zane. And so Lil Zane had a hype man. His name was Boo.
Okay.
And so nobody knew that Little Boo wound up being Akon's little brother. But Boo used to always tell me, like, man, my brother, I got a brother that's going to be big. I got a brother. He used to tell me that. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Okay. And he was like, he even had me come to the studio one time, and I heard the record. They was recording Locked Up, and Divine Stevens was there.
Right.
And I know Divine. And they was like, yo, this is going to blow up big, and we're going to need you. I was like, okay. I went on doing what I was doing. I was at my office in Atlanta. I was in the Artist Factory with Hiram Hicks. Hiram Hicks had a facility down there in Atlanta, and my offices was there. And people kept saying, yo, that guy Akon is in the parking lot. Everybody, it was like a little buzz in the building because it was like, matter of fact, Eric Sermon had an office in there.
Wow.
And where was that?
My boy Pete.
Bernard Parks.
Yeah,
you remember
Eric
Bernard
Sermon.
Parks? Bernard was always there. And, so Hiram had a lot of people in and out of there working. So but it was like, Akon's out there. What's going on? So I didn't know who he was there for. I thought he was going to see somebody else. So my phone rang, and he was like, "Hey, this is Akon. Come out and come see me. I'm out in the parking lot." I'm like, "Okay." So I come outside. I sit in the car with him, and he said, "Remember I told you I was going to come get you when I need you?" He said, "Now I need you." He said, "I want you to drop everything you're doing." He said, "I don't care who you're working with." He said, "I want you to work with me." And he said, "I'm going to make sure that you don't have to work nowhere else again in life." I said, "Look, bro, you ain't got to sell me no dreams. You ain't got to do that." I said, "I got you. I got your back." I stopped what I was doing, and I worked for Akon for 4 years, nonstop, around the globe, chartered every place you can name. I chartered on 747 charters. Matter of fact, we flew into Africa with Rihanna. We did Millennium for Ethiopia. I got this on video. We flew in on a charter jet to get there, but the Sheikh provided us with his personal 740, it was the Airbus that's fitted out with for private use.
Right.
Every seat is first class, but other than that, it's got bedrooms and all that. So we flew in. We did the Millennium Show in Africa, in Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, and it was Akon and Rihanna and some other people. So again, I've flown into some momentous, unbelievable shows. I did Akon, Wycliffe, Rihanna. This was Rihanna's. She might have had a couple other tours, but it was like really her first tour. I'm gonna show you how people looked out. She may not even know that Akon told us. He said, "I don't care what dressing room I have." He said, "You guys," and this is when she was just, it was just her and some dancers, and and she was opening. She was opening in Canada.
Right.
And Akon said, you make sure that she has the best dressing room every day. You make sure that she don't have no problems. You make sure that nobody gives her a problem. We all work for Akon. We don't work for, but he's letting us know, you look out for her. You make sure that she's good every day, Ron. And whatever she needs, I don't care, credentials, passes, tickets, whatever she needs, you make sure she has it. You make sure, I want my sound people, if she don't have no people with her, my sound people going to mix for her. My sound people, and that's how we all wound up, to this day. When she still sees us, it's all love because we always show love for her on the touring side. So I did that from Akon. What else? I did the Migos. I did the Migos on the Chris Brown tour. I did a bunch of their own dates. We did the Migos.
Right.
I keep this. I don't tell everybody. Yeah, I was doing the Sunday service. I was a ghost in the machine.
Hold on. Bring it back in the right way.
Hey yo, so check 1, 2. You also worked with Kanye?
Yeah, I did.
What did you do with Kanye?
I was doing logistics and budgets for the Sunday service in the Mary Opera. The plays that he was doing.
Yes.
So I was brought in to oversee the budgets and dealing with logistics. So I would fly into those shows, and I was kind of like a ghost in the machine. You know what I mean? I was there, and it was interesting.
Still behind the scenes,
I was working for.
But yet you're the one that's making everything
up
happen.
until COVID. Matter of fact, COVID ended everything. We had to stop due to COVID. And that's really the last thing that I did before COVID was French Montana, because after I was when I was not doing Kanye, when it was days off and stuff, I'm the type I like to stay working. So if they're like, people say, well, we got 4 days here, we're going here, and then you could get back to here and that. So, that's when I got called to do French Montana, and we went and we had 2 shows in Dubai, and then we were going to fly into Egypt and do a show in Cairo. And he did 10,000 people in Cairo.
Wow,
so,
that's big.
It was very big, And
that's big.
Yeah, not everybody does. That's what I'm saying. People could say what they say. I seen, he did 10,000 plus in Cairo, Egypt. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So, I've seen Akon do 50, 60, 70, 80,000 people in many places in Africa, Angola, in the Congo, Uganda. I could just name country after country, And when I got some content that once you guys see this content, nobody's seen it. I haven't got it out. I'm telling you, we did Soweto, South Africa Akon wanted to tape a video. And Gil Green came, the video director Gil Green came, and we built a flatbed truck in the middle of Soweto, and Akon did a concert free for the people in Soweto, South Africa.
Wow.
Unbelievable. That's the type of shit that, when I stood there, I was proud to be there, bro. It made, when I stood there in Africa, and I was on the continent, and watched the people crying because they saw Akon and just wanted to touch him, and how big that was and everything. It's really, those was moving moments for me, to move around with Wycliffe in Haiti and Akon, and we were going to the food kitchens that Wycliffe, Wycliffe had food kitchens in Haiti. So we went to those different, saw the old grannies that do the cooking. Yeah. They went to go meet them and talk with them and, boost them up.
Right.
We went to Site Soleil. We went to some of the gangsterous places in Haiti, bro.
Yeah.
Until we had, full military, machine guns, all kinds of stuff. But Wycliffe and them was so loved. All the people just wanted to do was touch them and, and see them, man. So, I did I also did the Yeezus tour with Kendrick.
So one more. Say, I remember, Flav, this is crazy. I used to give credentials to Mike Tyson. Different cities, so set him up.
Yeah. So just come down to
just because he already has Mike Tyson in the cans. So.
Okay. That is true though.
So you know what? So this is what I would do.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I would let Ron Byrd set himself up with that. You feel me?
Yeah.
Because he's telling me a story right now, and this can be part of his story. Like oh yeah, and by the way, I also So let's get back to the Yeezys tour and everything, and then somehow you can lead yourself into what you used to do with Mike Tyson.
But yeah, we did rehearsals for Yeezy's tour in L.A. at the L.A. Coliseum.
Right.
I had Kendrick. His show was phenomenal. We had the LED walls, and we had video content that was incredible for him, and that really like blew him up. He was already blown up as far as the artist, but being on that stage in front of Yeezus was, that took it to another level. That was really a great show every night, and I can remember too, like Tyson used to come around to a lot of shows. I remember Cash Money. I got pictures with Tyson, with Cash Money and Juvie and everybody, the young Tyson, I even got videos right now of Tyson backstage.
I had a good time with Mike Tyson in here, man.
Oh, you was here? I used to provide him. I can't wait to see that podcast, because he was I went to his first Undisputed, a friend of mine, EJ, from Vegas, EJ Matthews, who works in the boxing world, but he's friends with Tyson, and Craig Boogie.
Boogie.
Yeah, Craig was
my
like,
dude,
he got
Craig
me, that's right.
Boogie.
So I got to go for the opening night to Undisputed, the original one.
The original one,
the
one
that
at the
MGM?
MGM?
At the MGM, right.
Right.
So that was unbelievable, and we was back in the dressing room that night. But I remember Tyson, young Tyson, he used to come to the concerts. He used to come to New Edition shows.
Right.
He used to come to, he was always around.
He was always around. To our shows.
Yep, he was always around backstage.
Even around the time when he was living in Cleveland, we used to perform at the Front Row Theater.
Yeah, in the round.
Yeah.
That stage circled around.
Yeah, that stage used to revolve around, and every time I used to get off the stage, I always went the wrong way.
No, you don't know nothing about that. See, that's crazy. So there was
front row,
and there was one called the Circle Star.
Right.
There was like three of them. They had the round stages. There was one in Arizona, there was one in Cleveland, and there was one somewhere up in New York.
Right.
They had the stages. There was only like 3 or 4 of them.
Right.
Those was great shows too, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So that I remember we went to, when I was with Cash Money one time, we went to Mike Tyson's house for a party in Vegas.
Wow.
After our show, we stayed there that day. We went to one of them, where they had the chefs. Mike had chefs cooking everything. They had Japanese chefs cooking Japanese food, Korean chefs cooking Korean food. Chinese chefs cooking Chinese food.
Right.
Mexicans cooking Mexican food.
Right.
Black people cooking soul food. But his parties was always over the top.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I remember, Tyson was a big figure in the hip hop world. Because he was always there. With the artists, and everybody loved Tyson. It was always, if he's coming, carte blanche. No, there's no we get him some passes, get him in here right now. So we always enjoyed, and Mike Tyson always was having him around was always an adventure.
He had the crazy 88-acre crib out there in Ohio, man.
Oh yeah,
yeah, because he sent his limo for us one time, man. None of my group would get in. I'm the only one that got that got in and went to his house. With him and everything, man. He had the flyest indoor pool ever. You know what I'm saying? Al B. Shaw was there that night. That's when I first met Al B. Shaw.
Al B. Shaw was on tour with us.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
With New Edition.
Man, he had all kinds of cars in his garage, and not only that, but even on his lot, he had his own gas station.
Wow. Now, who had that? Akon.
Yeah.
Now, one other person had that. Akon on his house that he had, well, he got a new house now, but the house that he was living in before he built the new house had his own gas station by his garage.
His own gas station. Yeah. That's crazy.
Right. So I didn't know Tyson had one, but Akon had his own gas station too at his house.
Hey, let me ask you this. What's next for my boy Ron Byrd? What are you doing now, and what's next for you, man?
Well, we're working on a platform called The Tour Guide, which I like somebody, I'm not, they was like, no, you are the tour guide, because of all the groups you work for. And then it was like, well, how did I work with all these groups? Really, I work with all these groups because I never wanted to just stay with any one group and just ride it out. You know what I mean? I always felt that I could work with these other groups and pass my knowledge on to the people that was working with them, to bring up real road managers, production managers, tour managers. Give them the real knowledge that they need, not just walking around and not knowing, know how to, everybody thinks tour management is just giving out passes and tickets and, no, but I'm talking about dealing with payroll, dealing with, logistics, knowing how to move 50 people in unison with 10 going this way, 10 going that way, everybody, and having it all gel together with proper information. Because to me, information was always power. Information was God. So if you didn't have the proper information, you'd miss a show and could miss $100,000 payday. If I gave you the wrong flight information, I gave you the wrong anything can go wrong. You can miss 6 figures. So,
right.
So to have some unknown person doing something and they couldn't, you didn't do that. So my thing was being able to spread the knowledge. So by working with all these groups, I have a lot of content, a lot of I kept everything that I ever have. I got tour jackets. The only thing that I'm missing right now that I can't find is my BDP, my original Boogie Down Productions tour jacket that I got. But I got all the tour jackets from everybody that I ever worked with, multiple tour jackets. I got, the plaques that they gave me. I used to get plaques from everybody.
Yo, you still got a lot of the passes.
I got
too?
every pass, every laminate. I kept every. I got passes from you guys, laminates from you guys from Run DMC. I thought it was original. I got the Tougher Than Leather. I got all the way back to the Raising Hell. What's the first tour we did? The Together Forever.
Right.
I kept everything, bro. I kept all the tour books. I got every tour book. Because remember now we used to have phones. We used to have tour books. Remember, it used to tell you what hotels you were staying in, what day the show was, what time,
that's
where you going the next day, how many miles. All that shit was in the tour book.
That's right.
But I built an app now, and it's called Pocket Tour Manager, because really we used to call tour books the book of lies, because the minute something changed, the tour book was off now. Because if we say, oh, they're changing the show time tonight, or tomorrow night, or 3 nights from now, the show is not going to be at 7:30, it's going to be at 8:30. Mm-hmm. Well, the tour book says 7:30, so we had to do memos. Remember, you get a memo under your door.
Yeah,
under
that's
the night,
right.
telling you what you was doing and stuff. But now, with the app that I built, and I've used it on a few of the tours that I've been on, and it's just like an app. You open your app up, and it's a tour book on your phone. It tells you all your information, but it's real time. So if anything has to change,
I hope you get paid off that app, man, because I don't know nobody else that ever created an app like that, bro.
See, they got this thing called.
You're the first one. You're the first one I'm ever hearing of.
Well, the reason I did mine is because they had this one that everybody used called. It's like tour something, whatever, but. It's too much it's too much information.
Right.
Hip hop guys, they just want to know what time I'm leaving, what time I'm arriving, what time sound check, what time, straight. They don't want to know what time the rigging truck comes in. They don't want to know what time all that other shit.
They just want to know what time they doing what they doing, right? So they can leave.
I've formed Pocket Tour Manager for the artists,
right,
and for the team around him, the label and stuff, where it knows specific information, hotel information. Confirmation numbers, flight information, confirmation numbers, what time the cars is going to pick you up, who's the contact. All this pertinent information that would be in the tour book, but now it's on the app. So that's the app that I did. But I'm also doing this tour guide. I've got a podcast coming up too, where I'm going to be talking to touring people. I'm going to talk to artists that I work for, just like you.
Yo, you better have me on it.
Yo, I want you to be my first one, bro.
Okay, you got it.
Because I just want to talk about our tours,
my
stuff.
Word, just like your last name is Byrd, you got my word.
Bird's the word. Okay,
Byrd is the word.
I got you on there, brother. I'm gonna need you because I got to talk to a couple of people. I already talked to Eric B. He's ready to do it. Because I toured with Eric B. and Rakim a lot. And we're still good friends. But what we want to talk about is just I don't want to know who did this, who did that, or, I just want to talk about our tour stories.
Right.
See that throne you sitting in?
Yeah.
Right now, when I see that throne, it reminds me of Rakim coming out every night, because on the stage, we had a throne like that with his red.
Right,
and
right.
He used to come out the pyramid, the golden pyramid.
Right, right.
On the throne, but it was a magic trick. It looked like he wasn't in it, but really he was built into the thing, and then he would pop out at a certain time, and it happened so quick, and it fooled the eye, it looked like he appeared. And every night you could be at the front row and you couldn't figure it out. But, that's what I just want to talk about, touring with the artists that I tour with. I want to ask, let me ask you, do you remember the first time you picked up a mic in a real show and rocked the house?
Yes.
Where was that at?
It was at the Passaic, it was in Passaic, New Jersey, and we had to open up for the Beastie Boys.
Okay, yes,
and not only that, but then also back in those days, that's when we used to wear stopwatches as a fad. And it was my boy, Son of Berserk, that dared me to wear a clock around my neck during the show.
That's how that.
So when we went to Passaic, New Jersey, and opened up for the Beastie Boys, I took the stopwatch off. And I put the clock on around my neck, went out there and performed. The next day, we got the newspaper clippings back. We was on the front page of the Daily News, Newsday. And the look of the clock was dope. So that's what made me keep the clock. And if you look at some of our past Public Enemy pictures, Chuck was wearing a clock too. Chuck ended up taking his clock off years later. Hank was telling me, yo, Flav, you need to take that clock off, man. It's corny, man. It's outdated, this and that. I'm like, fuck
I'm
you.
so glad you
I'm
did.
like, fuck you, dude. I'm keeping my motherfucking clock. Is you fucking crazy? Man, I kept my clock on.
To this day.
And to this day, it's
That's
a
right.
household name.
And see, that's what my podcast is going to be about. Talking about tour stuff that people don't know. The first time you pick up a microphone, I want to know when's the first time that the sound was fucked up and you guys was mad and went to storm off the stage, and did you beat up the sound guy or because I mean it's fun, but you know, do you remember your first tour bus ride? Did you get the bunk? Was you at the bottom bunk? What bunk did you get? Who had the back room? Did you even get in the bunk? I know people that never got in the bunk. They just sleep on the back couch every night until we made a rule that you couldn't do that.
And you know what? And can I tell you something? My first tour bus ride ever, we were out on tour with the Beasties, right? Licensed to Ill.
I was on that tour.
Beastie Boys had a tour bus. Public Enemy, we had a van. 6-passenger van.
Yep.
And we used to follow the tour bus. Yo, man, Chuck and them used to get mad because I used to spend the night on the Beastie Boys. Yeah, I used to be comfortable in the motherfucker, man. These motherfuckers is in that van all scrunched up and going from city to city and
you on the tour bus. TV screens going, music running.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But that was my first tour bus ride was with the Beasties.
Yeah, and see, that's what I want to talk about on my podcast,
Hey, listen,
brother.
whatever you want to talk about, Ron, you ain't even got to ask me twice, man. It's done. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Now check this out.
Yes.
I got one final question for you. All right? Because, I mean, that's right, everybody. This is my boy, Ron Byrd. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And this has been my longtime homie. And to all of y'all that's been listening and tuning in, you know what I'm saying? Y'all can hear, yes, me and this man got history together. You know what I'm saying? But not only do we have history together, but this man is history by himself. Y'all need to know that. You know what I'm saying? And Ron, my final question for you is this. For all of the people that really don't know Ron Byrd, but they're starting to get to know Ron Byrd, and to a lot of people that really don't understand Ron Byrd or may misconceive Ron Byrd, what would you like people to know about Ron Byrd?
Good question. I want them to know that.
Put the icing on the cake for me, man. Put the icing on the cake, not for me, but for us and for the world.
I wanted them to know that I've had a pleasurable journey in this hip hop world in my whole 30 years, plus, especially in this hip hop game, has been nothing but to make sure that you guys, all you artists, are moved professionally, safely. I always wanted to bring a level of production, a level of movement to you guys like you guys was the Rolling Stones. I remember everybody used to say, to get a job, they would always be like, oh, that guy worked with the Rolling Stones. Oh, that guy worked with David Bowie. Or that guy, and it was like, no. But I liked it when motherfuckers say, oh, he worked with Public Enemy, or he worked with Run DMC, or he worked with Jay-Z, or he worked with Eric B. and Rakim, or he worked with, Luda, that's my world. You know what I mean? That's their world, they can have that, but I worked with the greats, and all I wanted to do is make sure that you guys was treated. I always wanted to make sure, because when I came into hip hop, you guys wasn't treated like the acts that you were generating money, but you weren't treated like backstage at our shows. The spread was laid out a certain way. The dressing rooms was laid out a certain way. the car, everything. But when you got to the hip hop show, the promoters was always, and I knew because I was on both sides. I used to show up and be like, what is this shit? You know, why is this dressing room like this? Why is there no ice coolers in here? And why is the food not in chafing dishes? Why is, I would be like, and everybody would be like, because they couldn't tell me that it didn't go a certain way because I was just in this arena last month with Ronald Isley, and I saw they let all the cars come down the ramp. Now you telling us that the cars can't come down the ramp? Why? When it would change? What do you mean? I was just here 3 weeks ago, and all our cars came down the ramp. So what I'm saying is that my goal was always to make sure that hip hop got treated from the companies that was out there with you guys, the tour bus companies. They didn't give you all some old, used up tour buses. No, they're getting the brand new tour buses. And you're getting the brand new trucks. You don't even know, but the brand new, them air ride tractor trailers there. No, you're not going to give us no old stuff that's going to break down. I want new trucks. Everything that everybody else was having, I want to make sure that hip hop had it. That was my mission, and that was my goal. And I think that I did it. I feel that I'm leaving it into good hands. There's a lot of young, good, like we talked about Silbert and a lot of the other guys coming up that really big Curtis Battles, those Dr. Dre and Ice Cube's Big Three. These are guys that I watched come up, and now they're tour managers and production managers, and they have the knowledge and they know what they're doing, and they should be listened to. So, I've had a good journey in this life, man. I have no regrets whatsoever. I've had a chance to stand amongst gods, and just, I really think that that my journey in this hip hop world, my personal journey, has been extraordinary, man. I've met people like you, been friends, stayed friends.
That's right.
I have so many phone numbers in my phone right now of artists that I work for that I still talk to. When I go to New York, I'll call. I'll reach out to Nas and Kevin Lacey and be like, "How y'all doing? I'm gonna take Yachty and them over to your restaurant, Sweet Chicks, so they could go eat there." You know what I mean? And he'd be like, "Oh, we gonna go where? This is Nas's restaurant? Yeah, this is Nas's spot. Come on, let's go. We going over there. I'm taking them over there." You know what I mean? Like I still reach out, I still call and talk to Hurricane, DJ Hurricane, and DMC, and you, and I talked to Chuck the other day. I still talk to Eric B all the time. With certain artists that we came up when this was really. I still talk to Ice-T, you know what I mean? When he comes to Atlanta, I remember I showed up on a movie set one time, brought my kids down there to see him, and it was just, we had a small fraternity. We knew everybody. We looked out for everybody, and I wanted to make sure that hip-hop got the respect from the promoters, from the building people, from the security people, everybody, that I see them give the other acts when I go through those buildings, when I was there with the Isleys, or when I was there with New Edition, or Bobby Brown, or some of those other groups. So I felt that I've done that. Now there's big productions, whether it's A$AP Rocky or whether it's Drake or Nicki or anything. They all have production. Everybody has big productions on their stages. And there's one other person I want to shout out to that is a quiet force in this business, and that's Rebecca Foster. Rebecca.
Come on,
see, that's why I want to talk
Rebecca.
I'm just saying that she did Queen Latifah and Missy Elliott.
I miss you.
And now she's doing jazz.
Man.
Like I ran into her in the airport somewhere in London and she was with Marcus Miller or somebody.
She was my neighbor in the Bronx too.
Oh yeah, see,
not only was she out on the tour with us and doing sound, mainly for Latifah.
Yes,
because she worked with Flavor Unit, man, for years, man. Yeah, that was Naughty by Nature.
Right,
and Latifah's sound girl.
That's right.
The sound woman,
and she wound up doing Rebecca, just like production and tour management
and when I lived at 1020 Grand Concourse, her building was right next door to my building.
And see, these are things I want to talk. See, she's somebody that I want to talk to on my podcast because I want to talk to let people know that people like her exist. You know what I mean? People like CeeLo exist. There's people that, for every time you guys went on the stage and picked up a mic, there was 10 people behind the scenes that helped you guys get to the stage, that, built that stage, that gave you guys the logistics, that you guys did what y'all did, and we wouldn't have had our job without you guys. But I want my platform is going to be to highlight the people that you know that didn't want to be in the front. They never
Right.
did. But I just want them to talk about their experiences in the music business.
Right.
You know how they get to where they at. Because now
Yeah.
we all have families, children, we have homes. You know, this music business, this rap game did a lot for me. You know what I mean? You know,
Yes.
I raised 3 sons. They all went to college. You know, I ain't had no scholarships, nothing. I paid for everything. You know what I mean? You know,
Right.
Hip hop did that. You know, this business helped me, you know, live my life. And I always, the reason I'm still doing this right now is because I want to hire other people. I still want to call the people, stage managers and people, and get them work with Lil Yachty and the Migos and these different acts that's coming out, Little Baby and Trippie Redd and all these, you know, these artists coming out, because they need good, solid people with them. They got their homies and friends that come up with them, but they don't know what we know. So I always look at it like this. I always look at the music business like this, especially hip hop. Imagine you're a football team, an NFL team. You have the owners. They might like football and everything, and some might know a little bit about football, but what do? They hire a general manager or director of football operations or whatever, because he knows football. They sit back and be the family, they the owners and all that. When in our business, I'm like the general, that director of football operations. The artist is an NFL team going to the Super Bowl. Public Enemy is going to the Super Bowl. I look at the tours, you're going to the Super Bowl. So do you hire a Super Bowl level coach, or do you hire the high school coach? Or do you hire the college coach? Now, there's levels. The high school coach just don't go to the NFL. He got to go coach in college, assistant coach here and there, and then he works his way into whether it's the NBA, NFL. You know,
but he works his way up.
He works his way up, and then you get that job.
Right.
You just don't get to go out and go. They don't call you tomorrow and say, "Hey, Ron Byrd, we want you to coach the New York Giants next week. You know, we're going to hire you to." I don't know shit about the football. Why? But you know. But that's how rappers did. But in our business, they put people in positions that never done that and want to go out and have a successful tour, and they want their homies to run stuff, and their homies that really don't know.
Yeah.
So my thing was that out of the homies around, out of the 5 of them, 4 of them just want to hang out and have fun, and they really don't want to do shit. They just there to do something, but there's always that one that every operation I come into, there's always that 1 or 2 that really want to learn. They don't want to go party. They want to stay at the hotel, make sure shit is right. So when the artist gets back, shit is right, so we can get to the plane on time. And those are the ones that I pull under my wing, and I share with them, you know, the jewels of really what goes on in the logistics of moving, you know, entertainment.
Right, no doubt.
And that's what so my next goal is just, you know, keep this thing going.
Right.
I want to highlight a lot of the people who people don't know, just like when you said Rebecca, but you told Flavor Unit, Queen Latifah, Missy Elliott. Now she's with Marcus Miller and other jazz people. You know, she did other people too. You know, like she did Lauryn Hill.
Right.
You know what I mean? I did Lauryn Hill too. So we, you know, I was, in and out. You know, Lauryn went through a lot of people, but we all still are loyal to Lauryn Hill. If Lauryn called me today, I'd be there in a heartbeat. If I'm sure if Rebecca called, she'd be there in a heartbeat. You know what I'm saying? We all, you know, we do anything for her because we know that she knows quality and she always wants quality people around her. So that's all Rebecca or Bill Reeves or myself or Victor Reed or Curtis. There's people in this game that have a name that I want the world to know who these people are, what they did. You know, Victor just did ASAP Rocky. Victor just did Nicki Minaj. Victor is doing all the TDE stuff right now, Kendrick and, you know, J-Rock and all them. That's what, you know, so there's people who, you know, they have a story that I want, you know, I want it to be known. And so that's basically what my platform is going to be about, is touring, but from my aspect, and but with the artists involved that we toured with. I want the artists to be able to, you know, be on that platform, and, you know, especially artists that I work with, you know, that, you know, because, you know, we have stories ourselves, like me and you have stories.
That's
I got stories with Ludacris, you know, or I got stories with 2 Chainz, you know what I mean, or you know, I got stories with, you know, or not only me but other people, you know what I mean, the road managers and the people. And I'm not talking about some guy that just did one road management tour and he was just there because he's somebody's cousin. I'm talking about people who this is their life, you know. This is their like, you know, I got a buddy, Eddie Powell, started with me in Buffalo with Rick James. He works for Justin Timberlake. Now, you know what I mean? He's Justin Timberlake's personal road manager. Justin doesn't go anywhere without him.
Right.
So there's people that have came up that are placed in this business around doing certain things that, I could probably say I got my, I had my hands on that, and so I want to highlight these people, and the ones, even if I didn't have a personal stake in it, I still think they're important to our culture as far as the touring business, because there was a time when there wasn't none of us. There was no black tour manager or production manager. So the black tours had white cats doing all this. Okay, that's cool, but why wasn't there? We weren't able to go do Guns N' Roses or all of that. They had all their people doing that, and then they would leave that and come do our shit. So I was like, nah, y'all stay over there. We got this. This rap shit, we got this. We don't need none of y'all over here. because they didn't even respect our shit. I would be on a tour bus. I remember I was on God, bro. When I was with Tour New Edition, it was me, only 2 black people on the first tour. Me and a guy named Billy Gibson. Billy, he worked for Rick, and he was what we call a valet. Remember a real valet? And lay your clothes out and have your shit steamed and the suits and all the stuff that you're gonna wear. And Billy Gibson was the king of that. He worked for New Edition. He worked for a lot of other artists. But when we started, he came from Rick. When we was with New Edition, the white guys on the tour bus every night, they was some English guys, and they used to be like, they would be like the chocolate chips. They used to call the New Edition the chocolate chips.
Wow.
Right, and that used to blow us away because we'd be sitting there and be like, yo, what do you think the chips gonna do tomorrow? They would, yo, bro, and so me and Billy though, we'd be sitting there like, okay, how much more are we gonna take of this? Right. So now follow this. New Edition, we was only 2 black people on the tour, so they used to always tell us to come to the dressing room and hang out and everything, right?
Oh my God.
And so the production people used to get mad at us. Yeah. Because they'd be like, why are you going in the dressing room with the artists? You can't go in there. Because, it used to be that split. And we used to go, and they used to be like, no, we want Ron and Billy to come hang out, come. So we had a little carte blanche to go to the dressing room, right? Anyway, after that, I want Ron and all their tours. Because they said, we want Ron Byrd. When they went and started doing their bigger tours, they left the management company to change. That's how I got in there. A couple other people, management level. But what I'm saying is that they remembered me. They remember how I took care of them, how we looked out for them, and all that. Here's a good one. I got to tell you this one story. It's about Jay-Z and them. Follow this. I was doing Puffy. I was the Puffy tour manager. Bill Reeves was the production manager. Jay-Z would come late every night, damn near. All the shows that Jay-Z was on when he was opening for Puff and them, Jay and them would come late. So, there's money, overtime, all that kind of shit. So Bill Reeves would be like, we striking them. They can't play. They don't have time. Dame Dash would get to the dressing room and get the Puff and be like, man, they not letting us play. And Puff would come out and be like, yo, they got to play. Get them on the stage. Be like, bruh, it's overtime. Who's going to pay the overtime? This might be a $10,000 overtime bill tonight. Puff would be like, I don't care what you got to do. Get them on the stage. Okay, that's the word. Get them on the stage. But I'll give them a problem every night. So Dave used to always talk shit to me like, man, we got money too. Nigga, we going to be big too. And said, you treating us this way. I said, no, we're not treating you no way, bro. We're trying to teach you how to tour. You got if this show goes past 11 o'clock tonight, it's going to cost somebody $11,000, $10,000, $15,000 in stagehand, overtime, building overtime. I was like, usually the headliner is going to pay for that. That's coming out of somebody's money. It ain't coming out the promoter's check. I said, so there's a reason that there's a schedule, and and we hit at a certain time, because the trucks got to roll tonight, and we got to make it to the next city, and we got to do this all over again. And if we late tomorrow, we starting off in the hole because the stage calls at 6 a.m. and we get in at 8, and with 2 hours on labor. This is stuff you don't understand, but it's already going to cost us, $5,000 tomorrow before you even get there. Right. That's why we doing what we doing, bro. So anyway, the tour goes on. And so they call me about the Hard Knock Life tour, and I'm involved in putting it together and doing the meetings and everything. Lior puts me involved in that and in charge of that as the tour manager. And I set up the whole tour on a phone because Jay was in Europe doing something or whatever. They never came to rehearsal. I set up rehearsals in Atlanta, outside Atlanta, on University UGA. We rented their stadium there. They're not the football stadium, but the basketball thing. We hung the whole show in there.
Right.
That's how rehearsals used to be. That's when I was with Kendrick and Kanye and Drake and people like that. That's what they do. They go rent an arena, hang the whole show in there, and you rehearse on the real stage with all your shit for about a month. And so we had that set up for Jay-Z and them, but they never came. But we did all the programming and the lights and the sound. We still did whatever we needed. I was talking to Dame Dash the whole time, about the tour, but he didn't know who he was talking to. right? And I was talking to Jay and Tata and them about, the different things. And I remember Carlene, I was dealing with Carlene a lot, but they never saw my face.
Right.
So the day that they were showing up, they landed in Atlanta, they're coming out to the arena to come see the stage, the Hard Knock Life stage, the videos, the trap doors, they coming to see all this shit, right? So I had a meeting with the crew. I told the crew, 2 things is going to happen today, guys. I had a 30-man crew out there. I'm talking about riggers, drivers, the technical staff. I had a 30-man crew. I had a meeting with all the crew. I said, Jay-Z and them is on the way here. I said, 2 things are going to happen when they walk in this building. I said, I'm either going to be fired on sight. I said, I'm either going to be fired on sight.
Yeah.
Or I said, or it's going to be all good. So all my people said, if they fire you, we're walking. But I was like, no, I want y'all to get paid. You got families to feed. You got things. I'm just one man. Don't worry about that. It's all political, whatever, I said, but they was like, no, if they fire you, we walking because we don't want to be out here with this shit and you not out here. And because still people was afraid of hip hop a little bit, right? But I told them, I said, look, if I get fired, you guys don't go nowhere. I want you all to stay in place and all that. So anyway, when Jay and them came in the building and they came over and they saw who I was, this is what Dame Dash said to me. He said, treat everybody like you treated us. You know how I treated them on the puff tour. He's like, because now you got opening acts and you the headliner.
Yeah.
So he's like, now you treat everybody like you treated us.
No doubt.
You on. And that's when I went on to do the Hard Knock Life tour. So we did the movie backstage. I'm in the movie. People be like, yo, I seen you before. Like, where you seen me before? I didn't know how big that movie backstage was. Even today, people still watching on Showtime or whatever. And people still say, I was watching the movie last night. They don't even know my name. And I'll be going through the airport and, the guy at TSA be like, I saw you on TV last night. I was like, on what? What are you talking about? He's like, you was on some concert show or something. And I go, okay, you saw backstage. He was like, yeah, the Jay-Z movie. You know what I mean? So that was all, that was a great experience. But I just remember, putting all that together. And I didn't know if they was going to fire me when they walked in the door or if I was going to go on and do the tour. Right. It wound up being a great tour, and then I connected with X and stuff on that tour. I went on to do X's tours. I went to do Redman and Method Man. I did a lot of stuff, on for them on tour, and Wu-Tang, when I did the Survival of the Illest, and I did a lot of that underground shit that we ain't talking about, that old Def Jam shit, back from the old days at Varick. Remember? What was it, Elizabeth Street or Varick?
Elizabeth Street.
Elizabeth Street. I go back to Def Jam back there.
That's where we started at with Def Jam on Elizabeth Street.
Leo used to give me a little desk to work at.
Right there on Elizabeth and Bleecker.
Yeah, Bleecker, that's right. I remember that.
Yes, sir.
I remember they had the pictures on the wall up there. They had LL's picture up there. They had Eric B. and Rakim. And they had, who was else up there? Like Big Daddy Kane.
And matter of a fact, because my real good friend at the time was Misa.
Misa?
Misa, yeah. Misa used to work the front desk. Right?
Yeah. You know who used to work in there?
And she met Puffy.
Yeah.
She met Puffy because at the time Puffy was a concert promoter and all that stuff.
Promotion,
but also too, man, back in the days, you know what I'm saying? We used to be there, and us, Run DMC.
Yeah, everybody's always at that office.
Us, Public Enemy, Run DMC, and all of that. We used to be there. Puffy used to come around, and we used to send Puffy to the store to get sandwiches. Word up, G. There was times when Puff Daddy went and made some runs for us. And shit. Yeah, you damn right, man. This before he got big.
Right.
Because he was still promoting clubs.
Right, I
around
remember
that
doing
time
those parties
with flyers
and stuff.
and all of that.
Yeah.
And that's how he met Misa.
Okay.
And next thing you know, he ended up sweeping Misa up off her feet.
Yeah, there was another sister that worked at the office there, but she had a record. Remember Nikki D?
Come on, Nikki D.
Daddy's little girl.
Yeah,
I used to love her, man.
Hey, yo. And she fell in love with Apache.
Yeah, that's right. But I remember she worked
at
Def Jam there.
I need a gangster bitch.
Yeah.
I need a gangster bitch show. Yeah, that was Apache, man. But Nikki D, that was
Daddy's little girl, right?
That was my good friend.
So I remember Nikki D, man. That was the great days of Def Jam back then, man.
Yeah.
Like, everybody was in the office, man. It was like, we were just taking over the world. And I really felt that, they always made me, Russell, Lior, the artist, they always made me feel at home. I always, even though I was a Cali kid,
yeah,
everybody really thought I was a New Yorker. You know what I mean? I lived in Buffalo because when I came to hip hop, I came from Buffalo, New York. Because I moved there to work with Rick. But, you know, everybody they never knew that I was really, until we got to the West Coast. Every time I got to the West Coast and my homies would show up, then they'd be like, oh, what's going on? Who are these guys? You know what I mean? And it was like, you know, all the real homies, you know, the bangers and stuff.
Hey, you know what? Being that you brought all of that back to me, man, I gotta shout out two names, man.
Who's that?
Two legendary Def Jam artists. You know that I speak to now today. I got Allison Williams back in my life. You know what I'm saying? And also, I got my boy Orange Juice Jones back in my life now. So I got to shout out Orange Juice Jones and Allison Williams.
That's right.
I got to shout them out now. You know what I'm
those
saying?
real names to bring up. That's right.
Yeah.
I didn't know, like I say, I had a great time, bro.
Hey. And we can't forget Heidi.
Oh, right. She was always...
Can't forget Heidi. I call her Ma. I always call Heidi Ma. But Heidi,
she
come
was the
on,
gatekeeper.
man. Hey, let me tell you something, G. That's why you think Def Jam got so big. Yeah. Because of Heidi. Yeah. Heidi, why you think Russell kept us so close to him? Yeah. Come on, man. Heidi was the one that was making shit happen, bro. Yeah. We can't forget Heidi.
No, you're right.
Come on, man.
Right.
Can't forget Heidi.
Yeah,
can't forget Ma.
That was really a great family, man.
Yes.
I really, I was always
and this was before Lyor came.
Yeah.
Before Lyor and Kevin Lyles and other people came.
And all those guys.
I remember, when I first started going with Def Jam, it was really just Lyor and Russell. You know what I'm saying?
I got pictures on my phone right now with Lyor and Russell. When we would go, like I got a picture of Lyor on the bullet train.
I mean, it was Russell and Rick Rubin. Not
talking about Lyor.
When I first started at Def Jam, it was Rick Rubin and Russell Simmons.
When I got there, Lyor
came years later.
He was always moving with us. Everywhere we went, Lyor was with us back then. All overseas, everywhere, on the tour buses, he was right there. You know what I mean? He was always there. So that's, to this day, Lyor is another person I talk to quite often. He's always been, whatever people say or don't say, I know this. He's always made sure that Ron Byrd was in a position to. He always still tell me, if you didn't have the knowledge and the skills, you wouldn't have the job. Because I would thank him, you don't have to thank me. He says, you got the job because you know what you're doing. You know what I mean? And that's what, he would always tell me,
Yeah.
In fact, he offered me to go into business with him one time, and I turned it down. Everybody, now that I think about it, I must have been crazy, but I didn't understand what he was trying to do. He went to open a production company. He was like, come on, let's open a production company together. And, but at the time, I was like too busy doing, like, how am I going to open a production company? I'm trying to do tours. I'm trying to run with these artists and everything. I didn't understand what his big game really was, but now I do, and he still included me in everything that he was doing, bro. If he had to act and he needed some production management or tour management, he'd give me a call. Or he'd have somebody at the label call me. I remember when they called me, I even did Fetty Wap, for a short. When I took Fetty Wap to Europe and did him on the tour here in the U.S., I did that for the 300. I did some work for 300.
Before we go, have you ever worked with this man? You know who that is?
That's Prince.
That's Prince. Yeah. Have you ever worked with Prince?
I worked on his tours, but I didn't work for him personally.
Oh, okay.
I was on the Dirty Mind tour, the whole Dirty Mind tour, his first tour. With Tina Marie. Tina was the opening act. So we was at rehearsals every day with Prince. I watched Prince do everything. Mix, monitors, front of house, at rehearsal,
everything.
Everything.
He was everything, man.
He made sure the stage, and then, the guys did it after him, but Prince did everything. Prince I remember we did a Rick James show in L.A., and we backstage in the dressing room, and we chilling. And you know how when you backstage and you hear the audience cheering because you think an act is going on stage or something,
Yeah.
So Rick got mad. He said, "Who turned the house lights off?" He's like, because the child, he was like, we was getting ready to go on stage. He was like, nobody, the lights ain't off, Rick. What are you talking about? Because I was like, I know my dudes ain't turning no lights off because we have certain, when we walk into the tunnel and we get ready to get there. And he's like, no, the audience is reacting out there. There's something. He said, get out there and see what's going on. I go out there, Prince is walking through the audience on the dude's shoulders. He used to have the big bodyguard.
Right.
The wrestler dude.
Yeah.
And Prince is walking on the guy's shoulder, stunting at Rick James' show.
Wow.
And so that's what all the people was cheering at. They was cheering at Prince. Oh, Rick was so flamed behind that. He came out, he gave an extra hard show. He killed that shit. It was at the Universal Amphitheater, bro. I'll never forget that. The old Universal Amphitheater.
Right.
But yeah, I worked on tour with Prince every night. Tina was the opening act.
No doubt.
Yeah, on the Dirty Mind tour. And so that was great. It was the original Prince band. Andre Simone was on bass. And so I still, these again, when I see Andre Simone, we say hello. He remembers me, that was when the Dr. Dude was on the keyboards,
Right.
And, that was not the new power generation, that was the original Prince band, But that was watching a legend in the making. Because you knew he was going to be special.
Yes,
like to play the guitar like he did, and he did all of the the production shit, and he was so meticulous about.
And I got some
everything.
Prince stories for you too, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you know
I
what?
can't wait
I'll save these stories
for when we have our
for your podcast.
Yes, sir.
Because I want to come on your podcast when you do yours.
I need you, man. I definitely want to talk to you about this tour.
Hey, listen, bro. Fun. You ain't even got to ask me twice. You got me, man. But listen,
bro.
I really, really, from the bottom of my heart, man, I want to thank you, man, for coming through here and blessing me, man.
I thank you for having me, man. This is my first time ever doing anything like this.
Blessing me with your presence. You blessed me with a dope-ass podcast, bro. I'm telling you, man.
I hope some people got something out of it.
You know what you just gave me? You probably gave me a 2 or 3 part series right now because we've been on here for a minute.
Right.
This is my longest one, too. And you know what? The best one.
Oh, thank you, bro.
Serious, man.
I appreciate you having me here, man.
Byrd is the word, man.
I love you, man.
And also, I can't wait for your book once you write.
Oh yeah, that's I told
you
about that.
That's going to be coming too, right?
Yes,
you got a book coming. Yes. What else you got coming up, man? Before we leave here, man. What else you?
I got some NFTs that I'm putting together right now too.
Okay.
With some of the tour memorabilia that I have. That's kind of like exclusive. So I'll tell you right now, out of all my tour jackets, you know what my favorite tour jacket is?
Which one?
The Eric B. and Rakim sold out, paid in full, with the sold out across the back.
Yeah.
And it's gold. It's the black suede.
Yeah.
Black leather with the gold all on the back with the Eric.
Right.
I still got that tour jacket.
And do you know Eric B. and Rakim's record? I Ain't No Joke.
Yeah, man. What?
That was the first video that I ever was in my life, and I paid my way to.
I gotta go watch it again. You in that video? I see Bezo in the video when he gets kidnapped. In the gangster one. Bezo's in Eric in the video too. But I didn't see you. Which one you in? I Ain't No Joke. I'm gonna go look at that tonight.
Ain't No Joke. I used to let the mic smoke.
Right.
Yeah, come on, man. That was my first video ever, man.
Man, that was a cold. Hey. Again, I can't wait.
Chuck D and them used to be mad at me because they was like, "Well, you got to go be in their video. Now look, you're the joke. You look, you're the joke." I'm like, "Come on, man. I'm not listening
classic
to you
history,
motherfuckers,
bro.
man. I'm out here having fun being Flavor Flav, man. No, I'm not the joke. All I'm doing is just making my way. You know what I'm saying? In other people's lives, man. I'm becoming people's favorite person while."
You know what I remember about Eric B. and Rakim,
back here
bro?
getting mad at me all y'all want.
They used to have him Dapper Dan, Gucci suits and Louis, whatever them custom.
That's right.
They had where before the word swag came out, whatever. Yeah. Everybody followed the leader. That was they used to be them outfits and the way the stage presence that they had, like them was gods to me, bro. The Eric B. and Rakim, you guys too, but back before. Man, they would come on stage, bro. It's God business, bro.
Yo, everybody, my dude, Ron Byrd. You know what I'm saying? For real, Ron, thank you so much, man, for coming through here, man.
I appreciate talking with you, brother. I wouldn't have done it for nobody else, man.
I believe it, man. I believe you, Ron. Word up, man. Thank you so much, bro.
I look forward.
Everybody, my boy Ron Byrd, right here on the Flavor Flav Show, original podcast. You know what I'm saying? For real.
Oh.
Yo, tell me about it.
See this Billionaire Hip Raps? You asked me what else I'm doing? Outside of the music business, I'm in business with some good people. and I have a distribution company. I'm distributing in Atlanta, Florida, Tennessee, but I have a real distribution company where we're distributing to stores the billionaire hemp wrap brands. You know, my brother, our brother Brian Perry, Bezo.
Yes,
works.
sir. My boy, Bezo Works, Inc.
Bezo got me connected with the right people. And hey, you can cut that out.
That's my boy.
But I'm giving him props. This is my next future. When I leave
That's
the music
my
business,
brother, man.
I'm going to grow fruit in Africa, in Rwanda, and I'm going to distribute hemp wraps.
No doubt.
That's the mission. I need you to come to Africa with me, man.
I'm coming. I got land there.
Oh, yeah.
In Ghana.
In Ghana?
Yep, in Ghana.
I'm going to be in Rwanda. Akon told me I could come to Akon City in Senegal. He told me that he got a place for me, so I already said I'm going to live in. Whenever Akon builds a city, I'm going. I'm going
to tell you all about myself when I come on your podcast.
Okay, I can't wait, bro.
You know what I'm saying? Word up, man.
All right, brother.
Yo,
love you, man.
Everybody, Ron Byrd. Bird's the word.